Thursday. It's a 5100 buy-in, and so yeah, we'll have it.
Wait, what are you doing? You're playing in a poker tournament?
Yeah, you didn't know that I do professional poker?
No.
Oh yeah. And so yeah, we'll have it.
Wait, what are you doing? You're playing in a poker tournament?
Yeah, you didn't know that I do professional poker?
No.
Oh yeah.
Where do you play at?
So I play at the Lodge Casino, and then down in Denver they have.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, I do okay. I do better with cash games than with. I just don't have the patience.
Tournaments take yeah.
Dude, I mean, I just don't. I'm like, Texas Hold'em.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, I do okay. I do better with cash. Dude, I mean, I just don't. I'm like, but
yeah, I don't have the patience for poker in general. Yeah, I don't have the patience for poker in general. I tried. Like I can watch poker a lot longer than I can play poker.
See, I'm the opposite. I can't watch poker at all. They have those high stake pokers that they have up in Vegas, and nope. Ash, what has changed the background?
You don't like watching Daniel Negreanu?
Listen, that's my favorite player. Yeah, that's my favorite. He's the GOAT. I'd say it. I mean, on paper, Helmuth.
I mean, he's not. It's Ivy, but. Yeah, but then it's
my saying.
Yeah,
I mean, I think everything that I know came from him.
He was so obnoxious.
He's so obnoxious.
Yeah. You actually know that makes sense that you learned from him. You guys have a similar style.
Are you saying that I'm obnoxious?
Yeah.
I mean, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I do really good at cash games. You know what I mean? But as far as tournaments, I've only won one, and that was the satellite qualified for the World Series. But other than that, here comes Ash. Yeah, I was at Vegas. Oh yeah.
How'd you do?
Yeah, I have videos. First day in, I was out. First day, I was like, oh damn, what's up?
Blue, it looks not good. That's just what we started with.
I kind of assumed that Admir's favorite color was poop brown.
Well, this isn't.
Yeah. I can't download that one. Ash.
It is poop brown now that I see it. That is.
This is just not good, Admir. What do you mean you can't download it?
I can't save it.
It won't let you save it.
No, ma'am. I mean, it's just a background. I'm not.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not putting my name on this work, so. Because I have meat on the counter.
Hell yeah.
That's where I store my meat.
I think I... Hold on.
Yep, that's it. That's the one.
That's...
No.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There you go. That's way better. Should I make it bigger? Okay, I'm not going to mess with that.
Listen, just leave it alone. So just leave it alone.
You did good. I'm blind. Is that big enough? It's big enough. Okay, I'm going to drop. Okay, thanks. I'll put my name on that one.
You will. Golly. Yeah, never say that again.
This is my life, man. This is my life. There's a whole team of Ashes.
Listen, bro, I
just disrespect all the time.
Yeah, what she did, as far as my secret, I was like, wow. it blew me away.
Yeah, it's kind of. I like your new stuff. It looks less affliction-y.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
not so many wings and flames and shit. It's good.
Have they come out with?
How many affliction shirts do you have?
Listen, bro.
How many?
Just,
how many?
How did the
it's not zero. It's not zero, is it?
No. Back in the day, open so.
Getting that yarn down the side of your jeans. What was that brand? True Religion. They had for some reason a colored yarn that they would weave down the side seam. So stupid.
Oh God! Now you're going way back in the day. Holy moly!
Way back. No, I forget you're 70. No, this is actually. This would have been. What are you? How old are you, really?
Bro.
How old are
45.
you? Really? How old?
45. I'm not
I thought you were in your. I thought you were in your 50s. I didn't know.
Listen, bro. Come on, man. Listen. I mean, come on, bro.
What year did you graduate high school? Did you graduate high school, right?
Oh yeah, 98.
98. Oh, damn.
Right before.
I thought you were in your 50s. I didn't know.
Listen, bro. Come on, man. Listen. I mean, come on, bro. Oh yeah, 98.
98. Oh, damn.
Right before I messed up in life.
All right. And you said you're how old?
45.
Did you say? All right. Did you say 43 earlier?
No.
Am I crazy?
Listen, bro. You need to stop smoking.
That's true.
Yeah, you need to.
That's true. No, I don't see anything.
So it was Florida. You had Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
No, it was just two. It was just two in Florida and.
What has the result come in yet? Wisconsin?
No, I don't see anything from Wisconsin yet.
So it was Florida. 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. They'll come in while we're here.
Oh yeah.
Wisconsin is Supreme Court.
That's gonna be a good one.
Oh, somebody said they close at 8.
5 minutes. So it was Florida. You had Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
No, it was just two. It was just two in Florida and one in Wisconsin, I think. The Wisconsin is Supreme Court.
That's gonna be a good one.
Oh, somebody said they close at 8.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Fen, listen, please don't deport me. All right, I just got my citizenship not too long ago. Please don't deport me.
Oh, for real? How long ago did you get your citizenship?
So I got it last August. Actually, on TikTok Live.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like maybe I remember that. I might remember that now.
Yeah, I got it on TikTok Live, and it was pretty good. I almost failed, but it was pretty good. Actually, on TikTok Live.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like maybe I remember that. I might remember that now.
Yeah, I got it on TikTok Live, and it was pretty good. I almost failed, but it was pretty good. I almost failed.
Stuff.
I was like, oh man. And he kept asking me these weird questions. I'm like, bro, these were not even on the damn.
What were the weird questions they asked you?
So one of the ones that I didn't know was, God bless him, it's not.
Yo, Amir, did you talk to the manager at McDonald's to the Wi-Fi fixed? Are you at Arby's? Alright, well, it's glitching a little bit, so I don't know if you can go closer to the router or whatever. But you also have some people in request. I don't know if you guys are opposition in request to typically RTP, who's left leaning, and stay in the box. If not, please hop out because I'm looking for debates. So.
See fights that I paid $60 for?
I don't know.
What was that? What
Every
was the one that was
UFC
100?
fight. So the only one that I can remember was when that ran. It was like $79.99 when Anderson Silva got knocked out by Chris Weidman.
That one was wild.
Man, I remember I was in Lakewood, Colorado at Hooters.
Yeah, of course you were.
And they charged us $80, bro. They charged us $80.
I can't believe it. Wait, they charged you for the fight?
Yeah, they started charging.
It's crazy expensive if you do that. You have to pay per seat.
It was crazy
for them.
Oh yeah.
Like it could be like a couple grand to get the fight if you're a big if you have a big event center,
if you own a bar, you have to pay per seat to bring the fights in like that.
Yeah.
So, Merck, I had never spoken to you. Are you a Trump supporter?
Of course.
Okay. Well, I'll just go on mute and you talk to R2P.
I just want to know. I mean, so I hear a lot. There's a couple people going around. This obvious terrorist from Tufts University, and people are all up in arms about her being deported to Louisiana. What's the problem?
Well, my first problem is when you said obvious terrorist. What do you mean by that?
Well, she goes with
Wait. Is this Fuzzard?
Shut up!
Oh, is it? All
right. wait. No,
I didn't.
I was like, wait a second, bro.
No, he was making more sense than normal, so I didn't think it was Fuzz.
Hey,
Oh,
but seriously, how did you get that so quickly in here?
listen, because
Chat got you early on this one. Chat was early on it, Fuzz.
Who got that? Damn,
sure.
that was fast. Okay, well now I've exposed my backup, my mysterious account. And by the way, the picture, the image is Tom
Uh-huh.
Powell.
Oh, okay.
That's Tom Powell in a fairy costume. Just so you know.
Wow.
But seriously, I can't believe how quickly you guys
What
got.
the hell
me.
is Tom Powell?
You don't know who Tom Powell is?
That definitely sounds like somebody that has a Dateline episode about them.
No, he's a huge creator on here. I can't believe you don't know who he is.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom Powell. I feel bad. It just sounds like an old man name. I was thinking he was going to be like an
man.
old.
He's my age. I mean, he's
Oh,
old.
okay. So I was right. Sorry,
Yeah,
I don't know.
About 75.
Nobody should
Shut
be
the fuck
surprised
up.
I don't know anybody. Nobody should be surprised by that.
Tom Powell. I mean, he's big, and he's kind of left this because he's anticipating the migrate to YouTube. So he's already basically done that. But
Oh, okay. I'll have to check him out.
yeah, I can't believe you don't know who he is.
Sorry.
He's got like 1.5 million on here.
I might have seen his content before. I don't really know people very well.
That old man that smokes a lot of dope, and
I like him already. I love this guy.
I know
He's already
he's
my
right up
hero.
your alley. Man, you guys got me fucking quick. How did the chat give it to you?
I just recognize your voice, man. There's something about your voice that is just. I was like, wait a second,
That was fucking quick.
and the way you said it, the T, I was like, no, that's him.
So I knew you were a troll. I just didn't know it was you. Because nobody would make that. Nobody would make that claim, right? It was so obvious. But I was like, here we go.
Really? I thought the claim was pretty good.
No, the claim sucked. I don't know about you, but the
What are
claim
you talking about? Because because I go into lives arguing about this woman. Just like, how the fuck are you guys okay with this? And I guess the way I said, yeah,
You know the answer. You know the answer to that. You know the answer to that. Everybody knows the answer to that.
All right. So the way I presented the claim was pretty shitty. All right, I'll work on that.
Yeah, next time work on it.
Yeah, you got the voice
Alright.
down though. You got the MAGA voice nailed.
I'm working on it.
What the hell? Oh, damn, Jen don't play around, so my hey, Fuzzer, that wasn't me, bro. Can
That's how we keep it moving.
RTP even debate Millie? Listen,
She has a standing invitation to come here and debate, and they won't do it.
They won't do it because they won't do it. You know why? But
I actually don't really know why. I just don't think Justin is I just don't think people should be on his platform. I think it's a trash platform. So, and I just told him that. I was like, but if you want to debate, you can bring a mod. You can come have a debate. She doesn't want to. I don't know why.
yeah, I mean, I've gone after Justin for so long, and then his little girlfriend, Roro.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's
Roro?
Roro. It's
Ro-
RORO. Yeah, it's they're either on his live or on her live.
Oh. Do they use the
Yeah.
same? I do see that
Same
that same
backgrounds.
background other place. Oh, okay.
Yeah, same backgrounds, man. I just, he can't. He's just. I don't want to. He's just an idiot, plain simple. I think he's him and OM are right on top of that. She's just. Well, tell her America or. America.
I actually did see you debated. You came in and debated, and you tried to debate him, and he ran from it so fast. Like the first question you asked, he's like, "Somebody else answer this." And I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah, I know that's.
you really don't know like that." He's just he just wants the money.
Yeah,
He
well,
doesn't even
see,
know the argument.
Yeah, well, and so I was like, okay, well, if you want to do this one, let's do it. Not a problem. Here, I'll come to your.
He did not
don't
want
care.
to do this.
No.
He did not want to do this.
It's like whatever, bro. It's like
That was
whatever.
the first time I'd really seen him debate before, or whatever that was.
No, and I knew it was scripted. That's why I asked the question that I did, because I knew that he's got SK who's writing all of this for him. I was like, SK,
Is
I
that
know
what's going
her.
on over there?
Oh,
Is that
God.
what's going on?
Come on, man.
She's writing the copy?
She's a little babel girl,
I
just.
didn't know that.
Oh
not know
God,
that.
come on. Mr. Fred.
What's good?
How you doing, sir? It's been a while.
I'm all
Hello,
right.
Fred.
Yeah, I think you blocked me and banned me for a while.
I did?
I did?
Somebody did.
Hold on, from me or RTV?
From your live. I have not seen your live in 3 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's weird.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Everything good on your end?
Oh yeah. I'm living the dream in Peachy Keen, my friend.
Nice, nice. So, what would you like to talk about with RTP? And if you guys start talking, I'll go on mute. The rules are very simple, Fred. Is, don't talk shit about each other's families. Over talking, I mean, you guys are both adults, and if it gets out of line, I'll shut both of you down.
Sure.
So, if you guys
Seems reasonable.
will talk.
You
Yeah.
can talk shit about all my cousins, though. I don't like any of them. So if you do want to do that, my cousins are fair game.
I'm
They suck.
fairly
You'd hate 'em.
capable. I'm fairly capable of a conversation without talking shit about anybody.
All right, brother.
So, bring up any topic, and you guys have at it. I'll go on mute,
Well,
listen,
it
and
sounded
get
like you
educated.
guys. It sounded like you guys were pretty unhappy with Trump, and so I was happy to have that conversation with you. And I mean, what's the biggest grief?
That's a good question, to be honest. The hard part with Trump is there's just like a lot of things feel big in the moment, but they don't come true, or they like he drops them because he says so many things that it's actually like it is sometimes hard to know which things are real, which ones aren't. I would say just like generally though, my biggest problem with him is the attempt to move so much power to the executive branch. I don't think that that's what anybody had in mind, and I don't think it's one of the things he campaigned on. In fact, he specifically campaigned on not doing that, and so I see him doing Project 2025 to a T, and that's kind of frustrating to me. I don't think that's good for democracy.
Interesting. Sorry. You say moving power to the executive branch. Help me understand that statement because I'm not exactly familiar with what you're referring to.
Sure. I think the best example would be trying to undo amendments through executive order,
Like
the birthright citizenship.
he's not undoing the amendment; he's challenging the interpretation. There's a difference.
No. The executive order is not a legal challenge. It's him saying that we're getting rid of it. So if there is a way for him to do
He's
it,
saying this is my interpretation. So now challenge it legally.
Yeah, and I have a problem with that. I don't like that. I don't like that approach. I don't like the approach of try and break things to test the strength of the Supreme Court. I think that we've done like part of the way that this all works is that we've kind of since 1776 we've kind of all agreed to stay in our lanes, to stay in our power. And that way, like, it's a more democratic system. This is different, and this puts a lot of pressure on people. Trump has so much power over the Republican Party that he recognizes he can just say something in an executive order, and everybody in the Republican Party in Congress is afraid to tell him no. And so even if it's something that's outside of the intent of the Constitution, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a completely ridiculous statement. And I think that if a legal challenge needs to be brought, it should be brought. And I think it should be interpreted. I've read the documents that they're referring to. I actually happen to agree with them. I don't think our Constitution was written for foreign nationals. I think it was written by visionaries and founders of our nation for an American society. And when I read the notes around
You don't think they were...
the 14th Amendment...
Their name is Bobby in Discord.
You don't think they had mass immigration in mind? You don't think that that's what they knew was coming and what they were prepared for?
I think that's what they were hoping for with a free society. But you can't flood a society for eternity. Once you build the society has to become self-sustaining.
It is
we stand alone. We stand alone as a free nation with certain rights that other people don't have. That's what makes us special.
Like what rights do we have that other countries don't have?
The right to bear arms.
There's other countries that have the right to bear arms.
I mean, name me 5.
I couldn't off the top of my head. I could Google it.
Oh, because that makes us special. Here's the
No,
other.
no, wait, hold on.
Here's the other one.
Hold on. Are you telling me that because I can't name them, that means they don't have the right to bear arms and therefore we're special?
I'm telling you, your ability to name them is
What? Okay, Canada.
Your ability to
Canada
name them
for
is
sure.
irrelevant.
Canada
And let me
for sure.
respond without answering, without interrupting, please, our TP.
What?
Your ability to name them doesn't matter, but the point is an armed citizenry and a free citizenry has the right to stand up for itself. And there's very few countries in the world that give their citizenry that right.
United States, Mexico, Guatemala, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Yemen, Serbia, Norway, Canada, Panama, Austria, Finland, Honduras, Sweden, Lebanon, France, Germany. That's a lot of countries. This is not unique to the United States. Let me answer now. Let me answer now, please. Yeah, I said not that. I didn't say all of them, but now let me respond. Because the one place we're different than all of those other countries, and we beat them by miles, is the amount of children who are killed in school shootings. That's the place like we really, really shine as a country. The amount of people who unjustly lose their lives every year to gun violence. That's the only place where like we're actually number one.
How many of those countries provide security for their children instead of defining the schools as gun-free zones?
I don't think.
How many mass shootings occur in gun-free zones?
Which question would you like me to answer?
Pick one.
Well, the first one. I don't think any of them have like armed schools.
Yeah. How many armed protected schools in the U.S. have been attacked?
I have no idea. Uvalde.
I don't think Uvalde.
What happened in Uvalde? What happened there?
I don't think Uvalde.
Which question would you like me to answer? Well, you're wrong about that.
I think they called
the first one. I don't think.
No.
They had a guard there, and he. Well, I'm just correcting it. They did.
Okay, I believe you. What I was going to say is I'm not super familiar with the details of it, and it's been a long time. That's all I was going to say.
Okay. Well, that was an example of a school zone. But again, why do you think it is that it's one thing I would say is it is easier to get a gun in this country than any other country, and we dominate at the amount of people that are killed by gun violence every year. Why don't we ever say maybe it's the amount of guns that's the problem and the easy accessibility? All these other countries, it's much harder to get one, and they don't have the violence.
You're blaming the item for the action.
You're what?
You're blaming the item for the action.
We do that all the time.
I don't blame my knife when I cut my finger.
We do that all the time.
I blame my behavior.
But we do that all the time. That's how our laws work.
What are you talking about? How do you blame the item?
Drunk driving.
Okay.
When somebody dies in a drunk driving accident, is it the person that kills them or is it the car?
It's the person driving the car. Somebody has to operate the car.
No, the person driving the car didn't do it.
Of course they did. They're driving the car. How else did the car get down the road?
But the car did it, right?
No, the person driving.
Well, then why can't you drunk walk?
You can drunk walk.
Oh.
I did it a few days ago.
Oh. See, but if you run into somebody and you're drunk walking, what happens to that person?
If you hurt them, you're going to be responsible for.
Yeah, if you just bump into them, what happens? What if you're walking at full speed?
I don't know. It depends on the guy.
Do you ever hit him at 30 miles an hour?
A 150-pound guy, it's probably not going to be a big deal. A 300-pound guy, it's probably going to be a big deal.
You ever hit him at like 30 miles an hour when you're walking?
Well, no, I don't walk that fast.
That might have something to do with it, right?
No, it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant?
It is irrelevant. What about your own personal actions?
Of course it is. Wait, nobody's saying it's not. Wait, but nobody says it's not.
You're trying to export a decision to an
Nobody says that it's not your own actions. Everybody knows that the person who everybody knows that. Everybody knows a firearm doesn't discharge itself. Everybody knows that. But it would be a lot harder to have mass unalivings and schmurders in general if you removed those from the population. It would be
that's going to inhibit ill intent?
Far more difficult. Yeah, it would massively
and people
inhibit
wouldn't be able to protect themselves. So
sure they would.
You want to make the common citizen a criminal for protecting himself because some lunatic did something.
No, I'm pro 2A.
So your argument is to
I'm pro 2A, brother.
criminalize the citizenry around
Brother, I'm pro
policy
2A.
that inhibits their ability to defend themselves.
Brother, I'm pro 2A.
Okay, so
It seems like you don't understand my argument. You're just telling me what my argument is.
I'm not telling you what your argument is at all.
That's what you just did. You just told me what my argument was.
To an item.
Wait, you literally just said, so your argument is, no, my argument is that it should be, you should have to go through a more strict process and they should be more regulated. Everything in this country that is, everything in this country, please wait till I finish. Please wait till I finish.
Hold on.
Please wait till I finish. Fred,
Hold on,
don't
one at a
spiral.
time. No, go ahead.
Everything in this country that is dangerous is regulated, and one of the things that is maybe least regulated is firearms.
Not true.
Like alcohol is regulated.
Totally
Prescription
false.
drugs are regulated. Even
Totally
things that
false.
aren't very dangerous.
Hold on, Fred. Let him finish, and
Medicinal
then you
MMJ is regulated.
Totally
Hell,
false.
nicotine is regulated. Ibuprofen is regulated. Tylenol is regulated. All these things that potentially are dangerous have heavy regulation.
All right, go ahead, Fred. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's tons of regulations around guns. None of it has been effective. All of it is about criminalizing and making you more vulnerable as a citizen. And his comparison is invalid because you're not comparing our nation to other nations in a similar situation or dynamic. The whole thing that his whole argument about guns, pew-pews, harming people is completely wrong. People harm people with bad actions. That's
Everybody knows
That's
that.
why the UK has a much higher stabbing rate than
We
the
already
US.
covered this.
Yeah, well, I wasn't here for that. And
No,
if
it was
still-
me
if
and
you
you.
still
We
think-
already covered. Yeah, no, you and I already covered this.
You've not talked about the stabbing rate in the UK. Come on.
What? Yeah, but look at the
Ill intent is ill
Excuse me,
intent.
could I, but sir,
Taking
with
away
all due
people's
respect,
right to
stop
protect
every time
themselves
you ask me
doesn't save
something.
them.
Every
Okay,
time.
hold on
You
a
just
second.
keep going. I'm
Hold
trying
on.
to talk, sir.
Wait. Hold on a second. Hold on. Take a break. Both
I
of
let you get that whole,
Yeah.
I let you get
Both
that
of
whole
you.
thing out. Oh, sorry.
Thanks. No, I mean, let's because this is going to be just back and forth. I really would like to go back to what you guys originally started. Is the birthright citizenship? That's. I mean, I'm.
Yeah, I
very
don't know how we
interested.
got here. I don't remember.
Holy.
No, it's not. No, Fred, it's not your turn. You just finished. It's not you again. Let me respond to that. If you compare like you're looking at stabbing rates in the UK, compare the schmurder rate. That's the only one that really matters. If guns are more pew-pews are more heavily regulated, the schmurder rate goes down. So you're pointing at all these ancillary things.
Totally
Yes,
wrong.
yes. The rate of
Chicago is a perfect
the rate of
example.
Fred,
it's
is a
the middle of my
perfect
sentence,
example.
brother. It's the middle of my
Fred,
sentence.
California is a
Calm
perfect
yourself, sir.
example.
Calm yourself, sir.
Fred, do me a favor. Just let him finish, and he won't interrupt you.
I'm just responding to that. Look at the other countries' murder rate, but let's go back to birthright citizenship and what we were talking about in the first place. Donald Trump wants to take more power, put more power in the executive branch. Most of his executive orders say that. It's weird to even say that he's not, because like he openly says that's the plan.
No, he's not exercising any power he doesn't have. That's just a purely statement of buffoonery.
I didn't say that. Who's the buffoon now?
You said he's expanding the executive power.
No, I said he's trying to expand the powers that the executive branch has.
No, he's not. He's challenging the nonsense and making.
No, he's not.
feel bad
An
on the
executive
screen.
order is not a challenge.
Hold on, no, Chippy. Let him. So, Fred, go ahead and make your statement.
No, he's challenging the interpretation. That's how legal precedence gets evaluated.
No, it's not.
The
Legal
perfect
precedence
solution.
gets evaluated when you file a lawsuit. An executive order is
If
not a
he's wrong,
lawsuit.
if he's
It's
wrong,
what it's
file
what
a
he's
lawsuit.
doing to
Fred,
temporarily.
you gotta let.
it's
That's
what
why
he's-
I'm doing this. Hold on, Jay. Fred,
Sure.
that's why I'm doing this. If he's talking, just let him finish, and I'll do the same for you. If you're talking and he interrupts, I'll stop him as well. But you can't just in the middle of his sentences. We're not gonna go nowhere. So let him finish, then you respond, please.
Yeah, so part of the whole plan of Project 2025 is to test the limits of the Constitution, and they feel like they have favorable judges, and they can change that. So what Trump does is he issues an executive order, and he takes that power, and then that power is challenged in the courts. Somebody will bring a challenge, and that takes a long time to go through the courts. But during that time, Trump is using powers that the executive branch historically hasn't had. So even if eventually he gets shot down, we are going to have a period of time where Donald Trump is going to take executive power that he's never had before. And again, like, yeah, you can do it this way. I guess you can. But part of democracy is people understanding and swearing an oath to the Constitution is going up to Washington and not doing things that historically haven't been done or historically have been ruled against. And that's what I don't like about what he's doing. He's trying to take extra power.
Yeah, where you're confused is he's not taking any extra power. And if you don't like it, you can file a suit and challenge it. And no matter what activist, whatever he's doing that you don't like.
I don't like that he's taking more power.
He's not taking more power. He hasn't taken any more power. And swearing an oath to the Constitution is not swearing an oath to your interpretation of the Constitution. The two concepts are vastly different, and that's where you are wholly confused.
Does the executive branch have the power to dismantle a congressionally made department?
You mean like the Department of Education?
Yes.
You bet they do.
Where do they get that power? What part of the Constitution grants that to the executive branch?
The Department of Education works under the executive branch.
What part of the Constitution grants that the power for the president? Let me finish the question, please. What part of the Constitution grants the power to the president to dismantle an agency created by Congress?
The part that allows the citizens to elect him to office.
No.
The part that says unelected bureaucrats don't get to define and rule our life.
That's not in there.
Elected officials
That's
do.
just a thing you're saying. That's not in there. Which part of the Constitution says that the president can override a congressionally created department?
Which part of the Constitution establishes?
Why aren't you answering the question? I'm not interested in asking each other questions.
Because it's a dumb question and it's a non sequitur.
Or do you not know the answer? Maybe
you think that I'm too damn dumb to know that that's a non sequitur?
Yes.
You are a fucking imbecile.
Which part of the
hold on, stop. Hey, hold on.
You are so damn dumb, you're not even worth this conversation.
Fred, hold on, Fred. We're not going to do this. We're going to have this conversation. No name calling from either side. I'm not going to do that. If you want to have this conversation, have a conversation. I'm being fair on both sides. So if he does it, I'll do the same thing to him. But no name calling. Please, continue.
You think that our founding fathers, when they created the Constitution, part of it
You didn't answer my question. Which part of the Constitution establishes the Department of Education?
It doesn't.
Yeah, no shit. Welcome to the dialogue.
It gives Congress the power to create them.
And it gives the executive the power to oversee.
To oversee, but not to dismantle or get rid of.
When you oversee shit, you can dismantle it.
No, you can't, bud.
You can abolish it completely.
No, you're a manager. You're a manager.
Well, I think the courts should hear your argument, but I'm sure you'll lose. Because I've already read the legal arguments on this, and you're wrong.
You think? Yeah, I don't think you're right on this one. But either way, excuse me. Thank you. Either way, it's never been done. You can't give me an example of another president who went and got rid of a department that was created by Congress and just unilaterally undid the department. Can you think of another example in American history where that's happened?
Not off the top of my head, but I'll do the research.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good question, but I don't think it's relevant.
I'm sure you don't.
The Department of Education is an abject failure. They've overseen the precipitous decline of the intellectual capacity of our youth over the last 25 years at least.
How do you measure that?
And we've gone from being number one in the world in education to like number 160.
Yeah. How do you measure the department's effect on that?
Have you had any conversations with the kids that are coming out of public school?
The question I asked you was, how do you so in order for you and I to, this isn't a quiz. This isn't a gotcha. I'm asking you so we can have this conversation. When you say that it's an abject failure, what metrics are you using and how are you tying that to the Department of Education?
Well, I'm trying to answer, but you keep interrupting me and the host isn't saying a word about it. You've asked that question. This is your second time asking the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Give me a second. I'm a little worked up. How you measure it is by the product of the education coming out of the system, by the testing scores that are posted, and by the performance of the students. That's
So
how you measure it.
So if since the Department of Education opened up, our test scores have actually gone up. Did you know that?
They haven't.
No, they have. And Admir, the host here, actually has a graphic he could pull up. We've done this before. What didn't happen is we didn't keep up with other countries. Other countries' test scores accelerated at a quicker rate than ours did. But when we started the Department of Education, it was like,
hold on, Fred. Hold on. My bad. Yeah, listen, I have that graph somewhere. I'll be honest with you. I'm illiterate. I do not know how to put it on big screen. I'm trying to figure this out. Jen, if you know how to, you have full access. Please do.
you just change your background to that picture.
Okay, I'll try to figure it out. Hold on. Go ahead, you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, anyway, look, kids aren't being taught what to think or how to think. They're being taught what to think. And the difference is one's in education and the other's in indoctrination.
Yeah, but the Department of Education doesn't choose the curriculum. That's done on a local level. So if you have a problem with what kids in your area are learning, then you should go take it up with your local school board.
Well,
Excuse me, please, for the love of God, Fred, let me finish, man. I've been letting you finish. Go talk to your local school board if you don't like what's happening in being taught in schools locally. And if you don't like what's being taught in a different state, you can go visit the school board there too.
Yeah,
Now you're blaming the Department of Education for the failure or supposed failure of the public school system and your local community.
The local school board has nothing to do with withholding resources and funding to schools and states that refuse to accept their LGBTQ curriculum that
Who
they
did
try
that?
to force down on everybody.
Who withheld the funding?
Biden and Harris under their Food for Kids program, if you didn't agree to the caveats, which were you had to teach LGBTQIAM curriculum to the kids, then you didn't get your funding. That's why Florida.
Can you cite a source on that, please?
Yeah, just go back and look it up.
I am. What should I look up?
Department of Education. There's all kinds of information.
What should I look up there? Because I've never heard that before. I have heard that you can't deny meals to kids who are LGBTQ.
Why do we need the Department of Education?
Good question. Thank you. I don't like the Department of Education how it is currently set up. I think that we need to make some fundamental changes.
I didn't ask if you liked it. I asked why.
I know, but I'm answering your question. So we need the Department of Education because the Department of Education makes sure that the discrimination laws are followed, that local schools or public schools make sure that they're accessible to people with disabilities. They also fund grants, things like FAFSA, federal student aid. They guarantee student loans. We need what I think we needed to do is make our Department of Education a million times stronger, because every country who does it better than us, they spend a much higher percentage of their GDP, and the curriculum is actually set on the federal level. So all those other countries that have been accelerating past us, they're doing the exact opposite of what Republicans are trying to do now.
Yeah, they're funding $250 billion to an administrative organization. All those countries are, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know what their individual
Annually.
budgets are. They have a lot of them have a much smaller population.
It's another dumb statement, and my comment was illustrating the waste.
What?
And again, you missed it. You couldn't follow it.
Yeah, I guess I did miss it. But are you going to respond to what I said about every other country who does it better than us does it that way?
Yeah, no.
No, he just says no. He just
totally
says
wrong.
No. That's absolutely what they do. Most of them, a lot of them don't allow private schools. And if you are a private, every country.
There's not another.
Hold on, Jay. Let him finish.
I was talking.
Go ahead.
You interrupted me.
I was talking, and you were.
Okay. Hold on. That's why I'm here. Fred, go ahead and finish.
There's not another country in the world that has a Department of Education or wastes or throws the kind of resources at education that we waste and throw. The problem is the bureaucracy and the middleman that's putting a barrier between the capital that's available from our tax dollars to our children. And we suffer as a citizenry because of it.
All right. First of all,
the Department of Education does not guarantee school loans. That was completely wrong.
Yes, they do.
They don't.
Dude, I don't know what they do. Look it up. It's crazy. You don't think they? Of course they do. First of all,
No, they
I got to
don't.
address a couple of points there. One, every country has a Department
They
of
have no
Education.
capacity.
Excuse me.
Hold on, Fred.
Excuse
Fred,
me.
you were finished.
Thank
Let him respond.
Every
They have
country.
no capacity to
Why are you still
guarantee
talking?
Fred,
They have no capacity
Fred,
to generate revenue.
hold on, Fred. Don't do that. He was quiet. You were talking. You finished. Let him respond. Go, Jay.
Every country has a Department of Education. Well, that was a weird echo there. Everyone. China, it's called the Ministry of Education. They all have a Department of Education. Every single one of them. I don't know where you're getting the idea that they don't have a Department of Education. The difference is they spend more of their resources to educate kids. K through 12 is free. College is heavily subsidized, so kids can go to college. And when you look at like the standards, all their testing standards, they're all done on a federal level. It's a top-down approach that makes sure that everybody is getting a proper education. And we keep saying we're going to give it to the states. We're going to put it back on a local level. I live in Arizona. We were the test state for school choice. It has exploded our deficit. We are now pulling money from us. We are pulling money from all over the state.
Right.
You can look all this stuff up, and we're ranked 50th.
Not
We
right.
are dead
Katie
fucking
Hobbs-
last.
Hold
And when
on,
you
Fred.
look-
Hold
and
on.
when
Wait
you-
a second, Fred. Let him finish. Jay, please land the plane.
Yeah, this is it. These are all points responding to him. When you look at the top 10 worst states for education in our country, 10 out of 10 are red states that want school choice.
Fred, go.
Yeah, the statement that school choice has destroyed the budget in Arizona is just more buffoonery. It's complete nonsense.
Yeah.
And you know, Arizona is being destroyed by Katie Hobbs and her minions.
Yeah.
That's the problem in Arizona.
She wasn't in office when this happened, bud.
She wasn't Secretary of State?
The Secretary of State does not.
You said she wasn't in office. She wasn't
as
Secretary
governor,
of State?
she doesn't pass. She
Wait a
wasn't
minute, but
passing
she wasn't
legislation.
Secretary of State?
Yeah, of
You
course
said she
was
wasn't in office.
as governor because you said Governor Katie
You
Hobbs.
didn't say as governor.
You said Governor Katie Hobbs. If you're using the term governor, then we're talking about her role as governor. But this all
'Cause
happened
she's
under.
the
This all
governor
happened.
right now, and
This
that's
all
a
happened.
lifetime.
This
and
all
that's a
happened.
lifetime
This all
title, but
happened
you
under
obviously
Doug
don't know
Ducey.
that.
This all happened under Doug Ducey, and you can look this stuff up. You can look up the budget. I'm very
I don't have
involved.
to look it up. I've
Yeah,
watched
of course
it
you
happen in
don't.
real
You just
time.
know, right?
And
You
what
just
you're
know.
saying is baloney. School
Yeah.
choice has not ballooned the budget in Arizona.
It has.
It has not.
It absolutely has. It was supposed to be revenue neutral. That's what they pitched it as. It was supposed to be revenue neutral. We are losing hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and that number has grown every year since they put this in place.
How are you losing money by giving school choice?
Good question. Really good question. Because there were a lot of people that were paying property taxes, and their property taxes,
Like me.
wealthy people, but wealthier people pay more in property taxes. They pay that money in.
I pay more in property taxes.
Awesome.
In
Could I
Arizona
finish,
than
please?
than
Thank you.
make in a
Fred,
year.
you gotta let him
Awesome.
finish, man.
So all these people are paying property taxes, and that's what funds the schools. But what school choice allowed them to do is it allowed them to take their tax money out of the public schools and put it in private schools. But those vouchers only cover 66%. So still, only people with money, or at least an excess of money, can actually afford for this. So you're taking the richest people, and you're taking their tax revenue, and you're pulling it out of the pool, and you're giving it to private schools. That's how school choice works.
Not correct.
No. Good answer, Fred.
Yeah, again,
You're doing
not
great.
correct.
That's
I mean,
how it
really,
fucking works.
you make these
I don't know what to
ridiculous
tell you. That's how it
statements.
works. Everybody knows that.
You make
What do you
these
think a school
ridiculous
voucher is?
statements.
What do you think a voucher is, Fred?
You make these ridiculous statements, and then
What's a
you come
voucher?
to a nonsense conclusion as if it's real.
What's a
and
school
then you
voucher?
dance around like you've made a point that's significant.
What's a school voucher?
It's complete fucking nonsense.
What's a school voucher, Fred?
A school voucher is a financial allowance that gives you the ability to decide how you use it.
And where does the money from that voucher come from?
It comes from your tax dollars.
From the education
It comes from
budget.
the money that you give.
It comes from
It comes from your tax dollars that you give to the government,
that
and then
go
they turn
into
around and give it back to you.
No, it goes into the education budget, and then the voucher money is taken from the education budget. That's how we're running at deficits because all the rich people
Yeah.
who can afford to send their kids to
And
private
then they
school,
go and
they
go to
took
the
all.
school
Wait,
that
I'm almost
they
done.
want.
Fred, stay here because you'll learn something. All the rich parents.
But you're inserting.
Oh, you're almost there.
inserting your
Almost,
own
Fred.
Hold on,
Almost,
hold on.
Fred. We're almost there. All the rich parents who are already paying for charter schools and private schools, their tax revenue no longer goes to the public school. So they were already paying that money. And so that money that was in the education budget is pulled from the education budget. So we have charter schools everywhere now, and they're for profit. You want to talk about middlemen, talk about the investors that need to make a profit off of our kids' education. They take millions of dollars every year out of the budget, and that is paid for by taxpayers, and it's disproportionately hurting poor kids. But of course, you pay so much in property taxes, Fred, you don't give a fuck about those people, right?
Again, totally wrong. And I'll start off my response by telling you that anybody that tells you what somebody else thinks, says, or feels is immediately known as a buffoon.
You did that to
So
me
I'll
earlier
just
when
let-
you told
I'll
me what
just
my
let-
Hold
argument
on,
was,
Jay.
Fred.
Hold on, Jay. Let him go.
I'll literally just let that sit on your last few statements.
You said that
Now,
earlier.
getting
You said,
back-
so
getting-
your
getting back
argument
to
Hold on,
your
is...
hold on.
stupid
Wait,
comment about-
Jay, let him go. Let him finish.
Wait, if we're doing personal, I'm going to
Getting
jump back.
back
I
to
know, but
your
let him
stupid
finish, and then I'll
comments.
take care of that.
All right.
I'll take care
Fair
of it.
enough.
Go ahead.
Getting
Fred.
back to your stupid comments about private schools, it's not just private schools. The school choice is about you going to any school that you choose. So you can go to a better school, you can go to a worse school, you can go to a school near a grandparent, near a sister, near a cousin, any of those things, whatever your priority is, it facilitates your priority. Your idea of inserting private schools in there as the only solution is a nonsense argument to create fear. You're putting in a dynamic that's one component of the overall program. And then you're using that with a broad brushstroke to say that's what the whole world will do. And all public schools will fail because they suck.
I didn't say any of that.
Well, of course you did. You just didn't know you did.
Oh, you knew what I was saying, but I didn't. You know, the real,
absolutely.
If you're
Hold
telling
on, hold
some,
on, Fred.
now it's my turn, Fred.
Hold on,
Now it's my turn,
Fred. Fred, now it's his turn.
I'm just going to repeat. I'm going to repeat that Fred says I said something, and he knows what my argument is. And he started his argument by saying, if somebody tells you what your argument is, then they are a buffoon. You started with you're a buffoon if you say that, and you ended with doing that. But Fred, of course you can go to other public schools.
Total
Of course you can go. Stop using
finish.
You keep using
Fred,
miscalculation.
let him
You
finish.
spin this
You
shit
keep-
into
Hold on,
nothing out of
Fred,
nothing.
let him finish. Finish, and then
Everything
you
you
can
said there
respond.
was wrong.
That's fine, but let him finish, just like he let you, and then you're gonna respond. Let him finish. You respond.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
if you switch public schools and you stay in the district and you want to go to one public school over the other, the money actually stays there in the district. But so you can go around to public schools, and because the public school funding also has state mechanisms to make sure that places that are rich have to share some of that revenue down, it doesn't matter. School choice is fine. If you're saying open up the borders and let people go to whatever public school they want, that doesn't really fuck up the funding. What fucks up the funding is when you go to a charter school or a private school and you pull the money out of the education budget. That's the reason I'm talking about only private schools and charter schools right now, because it doesn't fuck up the budget. If you go to a public school, the money stays in public education. So that's why the target. But if you look at our state, if you look at Arizona, you can see the massive expansion of charter schools. You can see the people who have been prosecuted for milking money out of these charter schools and basically making millions of dollars off the taxpayer dime. Because again, for some reason, we need a middleman for our kids' education. For some reason, some capitalist needs to make some money off of our kids' education. And Republicans are like, yeah, we love that. And we're 50th
That's
in
so
education.
funny.
We're dead fucking last in education.
The same guy shilling for the Department of Education is now complaining about a middleman.
That's correct. The Department of Education is not a middleman.
Of course they are. How do they
Between what-
generate their money?
They don't
Where do they
generate
get
money
their funding?
from taxpayers.
How do they prioritize distribution?
What do you mean?
What are they distributing?
Which question do you want me to ask? You just keep asking questions.
Fucking pick one. Of course
Well,
they're a
I'm trying.
middleman.
Okay, you still go.
How can you say they're not a middleman? They don't do anything. They
'Cause
don't,
they don't-
produce anything.
What a middleman does is a middleman is a go-between that takes profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't take profit. It's a not. The government is
don't
not a
think the people that work there
for-profit
get paid?
entity. It's not a
You don't think
for-profit.
you don't think the people that work there make a profit for
Brother,
working there?
people that work at nonprofits make money too. That doesn't mean that the organization is a
You might
for-profit
be surprised to
organization.
know. You might be surprised to know that some of the wealthiest people I know work in nonprofit organizations.
I know. That proves my point, silly.
Oh, so we need more Department of Education.
Yes, we do.
It's so ridiculous.
They're not a nonprofit organization. They're
You
the
can't even
federal
tell me
government.
how they generate value for our students.
already
Because
did.
they help disabled kids.
Yeah, I know that you probably
that's
don't
your
see value in
argument.
that.
We need to spend $250 billion a year for them to prioritize helping disabled
No,
kids.
60+% of the budget is grants, student aid, and guaranteeing student loans.
That sounds like Department of Finance job.
There's no such thing as the Department of Finance.
We don't have a Department of Finance in the U.S.? No. You sure about that?
Relatively sure. I don't think so. I've never heard of the Department of Finance.
Yeah, well.
My question is, even if we did, what would the Department of Finance do?
They would handle financial matters. We don't need a Department of Education to handle financial matters for citizens.
They're not. They just distribute.
Wait a
They just
minute,
distribute the
you
money.
just said-
That's all they do.
Oh, you mean like a go-between? Like a middleman?
Yeah, but they're not taking profit.
Oh, wait a minute. Did we just realize that they are a middleman?
No, I already explained this. A middleman in the way that I was using
Because they're a nonprofit,
a
they're not a
middleman in the way
middleman,
that
is what you're
that it works in capitalism or in the economy is somebody who takes a
So-
fee to do a service or to act, or it could even be like a finder's fee. They don't take a fee.
Of course they do.
Where does that fee go? Where does the
do
fee
you
go?
think that do you think that the Department of Education distributes 100% of the funds that they
Yes.
receive? No, they don't.
Can you give me an example
That's
of when
not
they
correct
didn't?
at all. Every year, they pay salaries, they pay travel, they pay office space, they pay computers, they pay all these other administrative expenses that are part of the requirements associated with the bureaucracy that they've
Yeah, that's
created to justify themselves.
That's in the budget, bud. Congress already has approved those funds to pay them.
Therefore, it's inefficient. Therefore, they don't distribute 100% of the
Well,
funds
in
that
that
they receive.
in that what?
They take a fee in administrative.
Okay, so
burden,
then all
which you're overlooking
so all
and pretending
government
it doesn't
so all
exist.
government's a problem then. We
What's that?
just shouldn't have government.
No,
because-
no. Government is the most inefficient redistribution of capital that you can possibly.
What's a more
use.
efficient way?
Self-choice?
That's not how you would distribute. Self-choice is not how you distribute
No,
money.
distribute. Distribute is the wrong
Okay.
word. Redistribute.
Okay, what's a better way to
Because
redistribute?
you take it from.
Okay,
people.
what's a better way to
Then you give it to people that you want to give
Well,
it to.
technically, they give it to people, and then they take it. Right? All money comes from the Federal Reserve. It has the name of the United States. It's the country's money collectively, right?
It's the country's money collectively. It's the currency of our country. The country's money is a little bit of a tricky statement
Why do we have currency? Why don't we just barter everything?
to facilitate smooth exchange.
Okay. Well, it sounds like the government, but the government's acting as a middleman there.
No, you don't need government for currency.
Who would back the currency if it wasn't the government?
Who backs Bitcoin?
Nobody.
Well, hold on, before you guys get it, because I got to answer.
Welcome to the world.
Hold on, friend. Yeah, hold on. I just want to answer a couple of questions. I don't know why people keep asking and repeat. I'm 5'5.5" tall. God bless it, man. Get off my nuts.
What's up, Short King?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Hey, I just want to let everybody know, man, there's like almost 500 people. Listen, please, as far as me, don't give me, but gift RTP, gift Fred. This is actually a good conversation, man. Just gift them. They're good people.
So my real objection in the overall scheme of things is I don't think that we need big government to exist. I think our big government structure has gotten out of control and has created a burden that's obligating us to something that we don't understand. And I think that they're systematically dumbing down our children so they don't know how to understand.
But the dumbest children are in red states.
Are they also the poorest states? Did you look at the economics?
Yeah.
And what were the economic rankings of the
Yeah, they were
states
more
that you're
poor,
referring
so they don't fund education as much. Maybe maybe the federal government should step in and give more funding. I mean, they already don't pay for their
Yeah.
education.
I think about this. After we eliminate the Department of Education, we'll have a free $250 billion to give the states based on the.
No, we won't because we actually
Yeah, we will.
no
Because we won't have any administrative burden.
brother, the new tax plan by Republicans is going to leave us in a $1.9 trillion hole.
What did the last tax plan by Republicans do?
It exploded the deficit.
What did it do to our federal revenues?
Well, our federal revenues always go up.
No, hang on. Tax.
They didn't do anything to our.
Is what tax program is about.
They brought in.
What did it do to our federal
I'm
revenues?
trying to answer for you. What they did is they limited our federal revenues. So we came in under projected numbers that our federal revenues would have been if we had kept taxes at a higher rate.
See, that's an interesting word salad to actually.
Do you want me to slow it down for you? I can explain it more simply.
No, what you said was total horseshit.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So, of course it is.
That's your answer to everything.
The answer is
You
the last time they changed the tax policy, it stimulated investment and created a massive expansion of revenue for our government.
That wasn't
As a
the
matter of
question
fact,
you asked.
I think it's a 32% expansion over the last 7 years, which I think is the largest federal income expansion in modern history. So tell me more about how it was detrimental.
Yeah, I'll explain it one more time. So what they did is they cut the percentage of taxes that people had to pay. So the projected revenue that we would have had had we not changed the tax code would have been much higher. And then on top of that, they also increased spending. So not only did we bring in less revenue, but we increased spending. And so we exploded the deficit like Republicans always do.
No, totally wrong. So
Did deficit spending go up or down during Trump? Did it go up or down during
what
Trump?
What you're basically
I know, but
arguing
did federal
is
deficit
that-
spending go up or down?
Would you please let me fucking respond without?
I haven't asked
inserting
you a
another
question yet. You
and
just started
changing the
talking.
topic?
You started
Okay,
talking.
hold
I
on,
haven't asked
hold
you a
on,
question.
hold on. All right,
Inserted
hold
another question
on.
After I try to
Hold on.
respond to your dumb
Hold
statement.
Go ahead, Fred. Answer the question, please.
Fuck. This is
What
fucking
is the question? They can
infuriating.
say what the question, because I didn't ask a question. What's the question, Fred, that you're about to answer?
Yeah.
It's because you didn't.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this in a way that you're going to.
But what was the question I asked, just so everybody knows we're on the same page?
Oh, maybe it was more about my response to your statement.
Yeah,
Maybe-
that's why I said wait till I ask the question. So did deficit spending go up or down under Trump?
It went up.
So that's why it was a problem. So we should have cut spending and increased taxes.
Yeah, no. What you've done is you've only talked about one side of the equation. What you don't know, and the reason that you don't understand this, is because that also stimulated a massive expansion of domestic investment, which increased overall revenues by virtue of driving domestic production and increasing the GDP.
How do you determine that it was the tax
So
cuts that
about
did
the
that?
one side of it that's burdensome, you're not talking about the stimulative components that created the additional revenues.
Well, it didn't create
So
additional
you're
revenues,
only talking
right?
about the burden.
You said
You're
investment.
not talking about
You
of course it did. It created a 30+% return increase over
but
a 7 year
our percentage of return went
It
down.
definitely
How'd that
did.
happen?
No, it didn't.
Brother,
It went up
deficit spending is your percentage of return.
by a massive amount.
Deficit spending measures your return.
What? Deficit spending
Yes.
measures
If
your
you have
return.
a negative,
There is no return. There is no return.
you
on
just said
government
it provided a 30% return. What the fuck are we doing here? What you just said?
I said
You
30%
said
increase,
return.
dipshit.
All right.
I said 30% increase,
Hey,
dipshit.
Fred,
Quit
Fred.
changing relevant
Hey, Fred.
words.
Don't, please, name calling. Just let it go.
Well, then don't fucking say something I
Okay,
didn't
but
say.
there are other ways.
I
But
never
there are
said
other
return.
ways to do this.
I never said return. I said
Fred,
increase. And there's a big difference in the
okay,
words.
I understand that, but you're not going to get nowhere if you
But he
just.
doesn't understand that. That's why he used the wrong words, and he's mischaracterizing my statements with his
That's
bullshit.
more bullshit.
But you got to understand, you can get to your point without calling names. That's all I'm asking. Get to the point without calling names. That's it. And if he does it, I'll do the same thing to him. So go ahead, please.
I want to know how you determine that it was the tax cuts that increased revenues and not just the pattern, because we had higher taxes before Trump came in and revenues were rising. So Trump cut taxes and revenues still rose. How do we say it was the tax cuts? Revenues were already
revenues weren't rising.
Oh, brother, they were rising.
And the banks were frozen.
There was
this shit. If you want to sit up here and have this kind of conversation, you should know this.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that you should fucking have an awareness.
I don't know if you know about this, but we had it was something like 3 or 4 straight years of economic growth leading into the Trump administration. It was some insane amount of months.
Okay, now you're using the word economic growth and not tax revenue. So an interesting shift,
tax revenue was also rising. That was okay. Tax revenue. I'm going to look at tax revenue, federal tax revenue by year.
Look at the last 20 years.
Okay, I'll do that.
Good grief, it was okay.
Stagnant. I'll do that. Let me pull that up. If we look at total receipts,
it's funny that you want to attribute deficit spending to Trump when you know that it was all
because deficit spending was going up before the pandemic. So you're wrong again.
Yeah, because of the healthcare system that Obama.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, got it. I mean, statistically,
of course it is.
Not true, but let's look here. So these are total receipts in trillions of dollars. Okay, so we're going to start in 2010. $2.16 trillion in receipts. 2011 was 2.3 trillion. 2012, 2.45. 2013, 2.78. 2014, 3.02. 2015, 3.25. 2016, Obama's last year, 3.27. And Trump never saw that type of massive growth. Never. Trump went from 3.32 to 3.3. Hold on. He went from 3. Hold on. I'm almost there. Almost there.
Keep going. Don't stop there. Keep going.
I'm not.
Stop there.
2017, Trump's revenues were 3.32 trillion. Then it went up to 3.33 trillion. Then 3.46 trillion. And then it went down to 3.42 trillion. And that was pre-pandemic. It went down the year before
that was the pandemic.
So he didn't have near the growth that Obama did. Not even close.
He had way better growth than Obama did because you're not considering the Biden years.
I am not considering the Biden years for Obama. That's true because Obama was president and he had no control over the Biden years. But if you want to look at the Biden years,
because Biden. No, because that's the statement that you're making. You're making a statement of deficits of what we should have versus the increases that we did get as a result of the policy.
No, we're talking about total receipts
that's
right now.
That's the one-sided argument
we're talking about total receipts.
That the media pushes.
But we're talking about total receipts right now. Try and keep up. Yeah. Total receipt. Yeah, so that's tax revenue. We're not talking about the deficit right now. We're talking about tax revenue. And I just proved that, like I said, you said that it was stagnant, that we didn't have growth under Obama. I proved that he had massive growth and that it actually stagnated under Trump.
Listen, you are quoting the second term of an 8-year president and comparing it against 2 years of a policy that was in place before he left. And so you're making these bullshit assumptions. And my statement was that revenues had stacked.
I'm comparing what?
What? You are comparing 2 years of Trump's policies while quoting all 4 years, and then you're also comparing that to the second term of a policy that was in place for the full term. And then the last 2 years that you read off supported my statement that revenues stagnated under Obama because the banks were frozen and they couldn't lend.
What? No.
The comparison that Obama making is 4 years of an 8-year term on policy that was in place prior to the 4 years.
I started in 2009. I started in 2009. I started in 2009.
Listen.
Hey, hold on a second. No, hold on, Fred, before you go, because I'm getting a fucking headache. So hold on, Fred. If you're gonna make a claim, I need you to come up with some kind of receipts, because your claim was that Obama had 8 years versus 2 years of Trump. So I need you to prove that to me.
No. You're not listening to what I'm
Okay.
saying. Obama was an 8-year
Okay.
president. The policies for what he's citing in the revenues are in the second
No.
4-year term of his
No,
presidency.
I cited from 2009. That's the first year of
Please
his
let me
presidency.
finish.
I
Please
gave
let
all
me
8
finish.
No,
years.
Jay, let
Please
Jay,
let me
let him
finish.
finish. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Please let me
Fred, go.
finish.
I know.
For
I know,
fuck's
Fred,
sake.
okay. Go ahead, Fred. Finish up. Fred, you there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm here, honestly. I
Listen, man, you and I have talked many times, and we've known each other. I've never seen this side of you, so I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do.
I'm so frustrated with
Listen,
the way this
RTP
guy
does that
keeps
very
twisting
well.
his
So
bullshit. No, he doesn't do it well.
no, that's
does
okay. Let's
he does
go.
it in a
No,
way that
Fred.
distracts from the
No, that's
context of the
Fred.
conversation.
So
That's why he keeps interrupting and making stupid
okay,
statements
Fred.
and then
Fred.
asking dumb
Hold on,
questions
Fred.
unrelated to the stupid
Fred, talk
statement.
to me real quick.
go.
Just ignore him. Talk to me real quick. So go ahead with your original statement.
I don't even know where
All
I
right,
was
so
at
I'll
this
just
point.
say it. The numbers that I read you started in 2009, and you wanted to cut me off because you didn't want to correct the fact that you said I only read the second term. But I'll read them again
No,
here.
Hold on. Let
Starting
him
in
finish now,
2009.
Fred.
No, he
Let
doesn't
him
want me to
finish.
say it. He does not want to hear
No,
it.
don't read them
Fred.
again. I don't want to
Crash
hear
out.
them again. It's not
quiet.
relevant.
Be
Not
quiet.
even the point.
Be
Where
quiet.
I was going,
No, it's not your
was
turn.
I was
All
going
right,
to
all right,
say
It's not
hold
your
on,
turn.
Fred.
You had a chance.
where
Don't
I
make
was
me do
Pull
this,
your
Fred.
leg a little
where I
bit.
was
It's
going
not
Fred,
your
don't
turn, Fred.
let it.
I don't want
I
to
know,
hear this
but
list
listen,
again
Fred.
because
Hold on,
he's not
Fred.
even understanding the point in the dialogue.
That's fine, but listen. He was quiet while you talked. Now you
No,
gotta
he
let him
wasn't.
finish, but you gotta let him finish too. Let him finish. If he's bullshitting, then you can rebut. But don't do it in front. If he's gonna make him look stupid, then that's what's gonna happen. But let him finish without interrupting.
What we are talking about right now is total receipts from the government, which is tax revenue, which his claim was that when Trump did the tax cuts, it made revenues grow at a faster rate. And my argument was that it actually slowed revenue growth. And to use that, he said Obama did not oversee growth, and that that during Obama's term it was stagnant.
I said his last couple years
But Obama started in 2009 with $2.1 trillion in receipts, and it literally went up quicker than Trump. The Trump years are 3.32 trillion, 3.33 trillion, and that's 18. 18 is when I think the TCJA kicked in 18. And then 2019.
That was under Obama's policy.
Wasn't the TCJA in 17?
Yeah, but it didn't take effect till 18.
That I'm quoting you 18. So the first year
You're quoting 18, 19.
Oh my God! The first year, just be quiet. The first year before the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, our total receipts were $3.32 trillion. The next year, 2008, just 18, which is when the TCJA was in place, our tax revenues went up to 3.33 trillion, so 0.01 trillion more. Obama never once had growth that low. Not once through his whole term.
Last 2 years?
Did he ever his last 2 years were 3.25 and 3.27, so 0.02. So after Trump's tax cuts came in, it actually slowed economic growth for him.
No, yes, you don't understand what you're talking about, and here's why.
Right.
Because it stimulated investment, and investment offsets obligation. So it increased write-offs, but it also increased the amount of money that people were investing and spending in the domestic economy.
Who cares?
And so the tax revenues care. That's why you saw.
And why didn't they go up?
They did go up. You keep stopping at 2019, and you haven't gone to 2021.
It went down in 2020.
2023.
Okay, you want me to tell you? So from
we know it went down during.
Hold on, Jay. Let him finish.
Well, he's asking for this data. I'll read it to him.
No, I'm not asking you.
Let him finish.
I'm telling you that the progression of the tax plan took time to develop as it stimulated investment. And then the spending that occurred overburdened what was taking place. That's why we've seen the deficit explosion that we have during a pandemic of nonsense.
No, I agree that the COVID stimulus packages increased spending. I mean, Trump did it and Biden did it. I agree with that. But I agree with
All
both
right,
of those.
all right, hold on, Jay. Fred, I'm sorry, my friend, but I gotta let you go.
All right, man. Peace out.
Stay safe. Oh man, well that was quick. Wow. If you are in a request box, please put down one because I'm not accepting any friendlies or anything like that. I want oppositions only. Who is? Hmm. Hey, Jen, who did you say? I don't see anybody.
Sorry, I thought I was off camera. My bad.
Okay. Thanks, Jen.
I can get back to my video game now.
You're playing a video and doing this?
Yeah, I always do. Yeah. I have ADHD. Otherwise, I get like distracted by stuff on my screen and I stop listening. So I just play like I'm playing NCAA right now, and I just play that.
Hey, MTST, whatever it is. If you can hear me, drop down because you're just loading. I think people have been in here for a while waiting. Okay. Thanks, Jen. Listen, bro, there is no way that I can do this on my own. Jen is a beast.
Yeah, life's a lot easier with Jen.
Dude, I'm telling you. Why are they not loading up? Okay. Huh. Let's see if Jen loads. Hey, Jen, you're gonna debate
I think
Jay?
most people that have been no, I'd rather not. I'm good. I babysitted
Okay.
Jay enough.
Oh,
I think most of the people that were in requests either they left or they weren't op. So if you guys are, I think there's anyone who's opposition. If you want to request or if you want to put a one in the chat, you can request and come up. So I think
yeah,
everyone
don't be,
that I saw.
yeah, and I don't, people need to stop being so scared. Just come up and have a conversation. It's
I mean,
a good conversation.
you beat us to hell with fucking Fred, so you may fall asleep.
Listen, but I've dealt with Fred, and normally that's why I said I've never seen him go like this. So whatever the hell he did, Jay.
He was huffing and puffing. He was frustrated. I could hear it. So
wait a second, I can't invite because I am friends with Millie. Hold on, let me.
Oh fuck no! God damn it no! God damn. Yeah. So everyone, the people I see in request aren't top. So I don't know. But yeah, that's it.
But Jay, have you? That's why before Fred came up, have you seen the interview with the press secretary when the question was asked about the immigration judge? And she straight out said, "I don't care. He works for the Justice Department."
Yeah, that was wild.
This is some what's her name? Chelsea posted, and I was like, "You can't be serious."
I mean, I think that's kind of what I was talking about with Fred. Like, that's the stuff that they're doing. Like, nobody's ever thought that nobody's ever tried. Like, oh, the Justice Department, just if they get a ruling against them, because technically, like, who these judges are, we can just fire them. Obviously, our founding fathers did not intend that you could have the people that are being investigated be in charge of who the judge is. Like, there's no way that was their intent. But these are the kind of things that like nobody's ever challenged before, and this administration is challenging all the time. Like if our Constitution stands up to it, we're going to really strengthen the Constitution. But if it doesn't, who knows?
No, I mean, and that's the thing. Like when we have these conversations, if you say it or anybody on the left says it, well, you guys are, dumb. You guys are blah blah blah. But if I say it, who voted for Trump and all that, I'm a traitor and all that. And I'm like, listen, just because I voted for the dude doesn't mean I'm not going to hold him accountable. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to critique him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you're getting some heat for that.
That's all right. That's okay. I got thick skin. I'm not worried about it, bro. My mission is to have people have a conversation, and if they can learn something, that's fine. I don't give a shit about, you know what I mean, MAGAs. I told you I fight with them on a daily basis. In fact, I say fuck MAGA and they're in a cult. I don't give a fuck about them. Fuck them. That's just how I feel. They don't stand. They don't believe. They don't stand in nothing that I believe in and that I stand and that what I voted for.
If
Fuck
it was
that.
if it was a do-over knowing what you know now, would you have voted for Harris?
I knew you were gonna do that.
I won't push back on it. Like I understand. I'm not trying to. I'm just wondering where you're at on that.
What I know and what I've seen right now, because that's a tough question, man.
Thank you.
That's a very tough question, because I told myself as a voter I'm gonna give him till the fiscal year, and if this stuff keeps going on, yeah, I'll be like, hey, listen, I fucked up. I fucked up and I voted for the wrong person.
I believe you.
There's just no way that I can stand for some of the stuff that's been going on. There's just no way in hell. I don't no way in hell. That's why I get the heat from MAGA, because I'm willing to have a conversation. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to call out the BS, and that's why I say the people on the MAGA do not stand, do not believe anything that I do on conservative side at all.
Do you like now? I mean, your parents were immigrants, right? You
Yeah.
weren't, or were you an immigrant?
No. We were all immigrants. My parents got their
you were.
citizenship in 2000 and
Oh, that's right. You told us that earlier. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in Yugoslavia?
well, I lived there for 13 years.
Okay, till you're
Yeah,
13 and you came here. Okay.
Yeah, I was
So-
very young and all that.
Knowing like what it's like to come here and be an immigrant, I'm sure like oftentimes it felt like you stood out or whatever, like your accent or how you dressed or just culturally. That's probably quite an adjustment, right?
It is. I had a little bit easier because, of course, anytime you go to Europe or you were born there, all European countries that I remember required you to learn a different language. So you can either learn Russian, German, French. I chose for some reason English. So when I came over here, I would say I was about 80% fluent. You know what I mean? If that's even a thing. So I knew how to communicate about my parents. My parents can't communicate for what the shit even till today, after 30 some odd years.
Does that experience make you like, I guess, more empathetic, at least to people who are immigrants here now, even those that, especially because there's a lot of people here that are being deported and they have legal status. If this was happening, like let's say this was the breakup of the USSR, there was still a lot of untrust there coming from Yugoslavia, and you had somebody campaigning on like these Yugoslavians, right? Like you got to watch for them, and then you start like every once in a while, just somebody from your family would get rounded up, and let's say there's some gang members from Yugoslavia or mafia, whatever there, but then you like your friends sometimes are getting, and you're constantly being harassed. Does that like? Do you have empathy with the people who are dealing with that now?
Yeah, so I don't know if I told you about the story with my next door neighbor. So I'll just sum it down. So my next door neighbor has been living here for about 30 years. Outstanding person. Has a small business, wife, child. Back in 1999, he was ordered deported because he came here illegally. Well, of course, everybody's just like, screw that, I'm not going anywhere. So he stayed all the way through. About month and a half ago, he gets arrested by ICE. They pick him up right in front of all of us.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they pick him up, and out of nowhere, it's like, what the hell happened? I mean, the dude has business, a house, you know what I mean? Just outstanding person. And their excuse is because he was ordered in absentia to be deported. They have every right to do so, which by technicality, they do. So we hired an attorney and we're like, listen, The dude's been living here for almost 30 years, never missed taxes. He always pays taxes and all of this. Why can't we come up with some kind of system that allows for people like that who are hardworking, who are this? I can understand if people who come here to do some nefarious stuff or just to come here for financial reasons get the money and then go back to their stuff. I'm not for that at all. You want to come here? Fine, come here. Hey, do what you need to do. There's got to be a pathway. There's got to be a pathway. This isn't the pathway. What's been going on? I mean, I had an idea, Jay, that something like this might happen, but to this extent, then I mean,
I was watching. There's a. Do you know who Sean Ryan is?
I watch him every week.
Do you see the trailer for his it's about school, like Department of Education?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's coming out Sunday.
Have you looked at those clips closely?
The one. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Bro, they're celebrating the Nazis.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
The
me and
go
ahead, my bad.
Yeah, the reason I asked this question, I'll be transparent. So I don't. I've done like debate platforms with you and HVAC, and despite one creator loving to say like that's somehow a big problem that I did with HVAC, and I got some heat for that. There were some people that didn't want me to, and I get heat for coming on with you. And what's interesting is like all my conversations with you about stuff like this, about humanity, it's always been rational. And it's just like, okay, well, that's, those are his principles. His principles are that like humans have rights. But then it's crazy to me. Like I see the Sean Ryan thing. I stopped the clips. If you just want to read, like if you read the articles that they're posting, and I know this is going to take like an uncomfortable direction. I hope people are compassionate in that this is like a really honest conversation. But when you go from, you can empathize with all these people who, a portion of our country treat them as subhuman or view them as subhuman in the way that it's okay to lock them up just because you don't like what they think. Does it stop and make you question like your treatment of trans people? Knowing like if you read that Sean Ryan thing, they're celebrating how like in one of those things the Nazis talked about, like not only did they go after, they also went after like LGBTQ people, and they're celebrating that in the thing. And I just thought like for me that's how it extends. Like the reason that I wind up being so far to the left, at least socially, is that I don't think it's ever my role to make a judgment on somebody else's identity or how they feel or their sexuality. And I feel like, and I think this could be like a little bit of my ADHD. Like I think in terms of like black and white, like justice will like consume me. Like I don't like injustices. It just, no matter what it is, it's hard. And I'm sure I'm hypocritical on that sometimes, but I feel like if I ever stop on like what I will accept somebody to identify as, then at some point it's not really like a solid concept. It's not really a virtue. It's just like here's what I'm comfortable with, and as soon as it gets uncomfortable for me, I no longer humanize that person. And to me, like it feels like the way people treat some people treat immigrants and the way that a lot of our country treats trans people. To me, those two things look really similar. Sorry, that was a long way to say.
No, you're good, and they do. And so I would say last year. I mean, if you knew, I'd say let's say for starting from back, maybe it was on my birthday, February. It's the way I was looking at the whole with the as far as the trans community. It's like, hey, I don't care. They should not be in our schools, blah, blah, blah. They don't. I had to sit down with my wife and I said, okay, explain some stuff to me. So she did. And I've had to come to a realization as a human, they exist. Whether I disagree or I agree with their thoughts, that's here or nor, they're human. I've had to come to terms that if I'm going to be a good human, I got to treat you as such. Whether you believe in whatever the hell you believe in, if you're good to me, I'll be good to you and I'll treat you as a human. I actually showed up on a live. It was with Ash, and I can't remember whose live that was. Yeah, I can't remember her. And we started off kind of hot, but then we kind of leveled. Yeah, you know what I mean. So and then we leveled off because I was trying to understand from their perspective, and I'll tell you what, I'm not there 100%, but I'm thinking a little bit different, and I've had to come to terms that, hey, as long as you don't affect me personally, do what you want to do. If I have always said, leave the children alone. I've always said that, how is a 12-year-old kid or a 12-year-old 13-year-old kid, if they want to, if he's a boy and he wants to join girls basketball, whatever, how's that going to impact me now? I have no fight in that. Let the kid
Yeah.
be who he wants to be. Maybe he'll change his mind in 6 months. Maybe he'll do whatever. You know what I mean? Who am I to judge that? And I've had to come to terms with that. I really did, because my wife was like, "Listen, you got to back off. You got to back off."
Oh,
And I
W to
was
your
like,
wife.
and I was like, "Yo, all right, and I'll tell you what, that live, it was for maybe 45 minutes. Like I said, we came in hot, but then we leveled off, and
Who?
and that
It
kind of
was. It was
I
Ashton. Was it
can't.
Reggie? Was it Reggie?
Oh, Ash, if you're in here, can you? It was there's always that says divorce your MAGA husband.
Yeah. She's holding on for dear life. She's like,
Yeah.
listen, we're getting fucking close, Admir. This is,
Listen,
you're
I
getting
was
too
like,
close.
oh man, I was like, shit. Oh, now I was like, damn, and you know what?
Read your
I actually
comments. Yes, it was Reggie. It's Reggie's
was it
live.
Reggie? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. She's smart.
And so, it's like I've had to come to terms, and I've said it, and me and Chelsea were talking about it earlier, and what has happened in the last, I'd say, 2 weeks is exactly what happened back in 1991 with the former USSR.
Okay. I don't know much about it. What happened?
It's the exact same thing. You had Tito and Gorbachev, and they started doing this, and next thing you know, within a year, boom, the biggest civil war since World War II happened. They started deporting people because of their religion, because of what they believed in.
Oh, you're saying for over there? What happened?
Yeah,
Not here.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
Gotcha.
not
Now
here,
I'm
over
with you.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Okay.
and it's like, bro, this isn't funny anymore. This isn't. Now we're talking. Now we're talking serious. And
How did
people
that?
need to have conversations, bro. They need to realize this isn't a joke anymore.
How did it kick off? Was it like a slow build, or did they like just
No, I
jump
mean
right into
now.
deporting people?
Well, no. So it was kind of like, what you believe in. If you say the wrong thing, they were like, "Oh yeah, you belong here." And then the religion played a huge impact.
What
I
was
mean,
the religion
so
differences?
you had Muslims, you had Croats, which are like Catholics, and then you had Serbians who are Orthodox.
Okay.
And then it was the religion territory, and then I mean, shit, within 4.5 years, we're talking 1 million people slaughtered. You know what I mean? And over 7 million people just dispersed all over the world. You know what I mean?
And is that when your family came over?
Yeah, yeah. It was.
How'd you get out? Like, how do you get out?
So we had United States actually gave a certain amount of people who were allowed to come here, and that's why before I was like, listen, well, I did it the legal way, you can do it the legal way, but what I wasn't understanding is that the United States actually had an embassy, and they had, if you qualified, they would give you what's called an I-94. You come here, I think it was like 3 to 6 months. They give you like an apartment and all that, and you start going to work and you take off.
Yeah,
That's what people are not understanding is that, and I've always talked about this, Jay, is that I personally believe that the southern border is the least of the problems. I think
that's
it's
what
actually
I was
not
wondering, because
even,
like you've got to feel like that's the same in Venezuela, right? Like they're escaping an untenable situation, and they're here seeking asylum. Which I don't know. Were you a refugee or asylum?
Yeah, no, I was refugee. Well, I mean, if
Okay,
you
it's a
look at
little
it,
different.
yeah. What's up, Clark? Give me just a second. I'll finish up and then you can have it. But the weird thing is, I think it was
Nope.
20 right before Trump left. He actually gave them the TPS stuff, so they were
Yeah.
allowed to come here over everybody.
Yeah,
And all of a
he had an
sudden
executive
now
order.
it's and all of a sudden now you take it away. It's like, okay, so what are these people supposed to do? You give them the opportunity. We fuck up their country. Now what? Where are they supposed to go? And it's just, I don't know. It just, I've had to come to terms that this is going to be a long fight, man, and I'm ready for it. I'll do whatever I can, but this shit it ain't a joke no more. It's not a joke no more
I'll
at
tell you a
all.
story real quick. I had when I was in high school, this kid came over. He was an exchange student, and he was from Yugoslavia, but I don't remember where he lived at the time. His name was Milos,
Yeah, they
and
all fucking start with Milosh.
yeah, I think it was Stojanovic. I want to say
Yeah, they
Stojanovic.
all are. Yeah,
Okay,
Miloš
and
Stojanovic.
and Milos in the first game, the very first game, and I played soccer in Utah, so it's Mormon. Like you get red carded if you curse.
Oh
And
yeah.
3 minutes into the game, he told the ref he was going to cut his effing head off. Got red card and was blown away that he had gotten red carded. Came over. The guy got like 5 red cards, and then 3 years later, I asked somebody about him. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's in prison for life for murder." I was like, "Yeah, that actually checks out."
Yeah, they don't mess around. They don't
right
mess
after
around. Oh yeah. Clark, how you been, man?
Just got home from practice.
Yeah, how was practice? Good.
Good, good. Well, I say practice, but tryouts right now. We're still doing tryouts, so
Nice, nice.
What are you trying out for?
softball season.
What is
Coach,
slow pitch or fast pitch?
No, fast pitch. Coach Tenu.
Oh, your coach. Oh, okay. I was like,
I was like, whoa, hold on.
I was like, damn,
Kinda caught me
softball's
off guard
getting
a little
fucking
bit.
competitive. Okay, that makes more
yeah.
sense. Sorry, my bad.
So, Fred, are you ready for this?
I'm ready when you.
Well, not if you keep getting phone calls as usual.
He's got to cut somebody, break somebody's heart.
Oh man, I'm just sharing it out to a few people because I told some people that I was supposed to come in here for this. So
Yeah. No, you're good. And then I think what's her name is coming too. Said should be here.
I just talked to Amanda with the duh at the end, and she said she's
Okay.
trying to come in here, and she doesn't know if you have her blocked or what's going on, or
I don't. Are we talking about the same
I'm not
Amanda?
saying you do, bro. She just said she couldn't find it for whatever reason. I'm just gonna send it to her and see if she'll
Yeah,
come.
please do.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Jesse's ex? Amanda.
I don't know whose
I don't
ex
have
she
one.
is. To be honest, I don't know nothing about all that.
You don't know
personal life.
their dating history? You can't invite somebody if you don't know their full
God,
dating
yeah,
history.
bro. Come on.
Like, what kind of shit is that? What TikTok trend? Although more recently I've been in some pretty wild lives where we are discussing some deeply schmexual shit. So like, yeah, that's out here too.
Oh,
Nice.
getting after it.
So I know, Fred, you and I have talked and all that, and that's why I invited you up here. Terms are very simple: no cursing and no interruption.
Oh,
Everything else,
cursing?
No cursing at
know.
each other.
yeah, at each other. You can curse, but at each other and no name
I
calling.
don't do that. I don't do the slurs and cursing at each other, but I say
Thanks,
fuck
Ash.
a lot.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. And what I'll do is once you guys start talking, I'll go on mute. If you guys keep going back and forth, having cordial conversation, do what you do. But as soon as one another kind of pops off, that's when I'll come in and I'll shut it down real quick. It doesn't matter if it's you or RTP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just have a good conversation and I don't. Since Fred started the other one, it's only fair to have RTP pick a topic. Because
Yeah, I'm good with that.
the other guy was Republican, so I let him go first. This time it's RTP.
Do you-
So
It might be easier for Clark to choose because MAGA had like the people who have debated on MAGA, they have kind of like a wide range of what they believe. So it's like different things. I'm pretty standard across the left. It might be better, Clark, if you want to pick something you want to talk about.
Okay, and I'm only going to pick it because you said that. Otherwise, I was going to give you the choice because we won the election. But why the fuck do y'all refer to us as MAGA? I can't fucking stand that. So let's start there.
Well, actually,
another one?
yeah, for me, I can't speak for everybody. I mean, I think it's probably a habit, just and it kind of feels disrespectful. So it's probably just as a way to be disrespectful. But
Yeah.
I grew up in Utah, and a lot of people, even though they were registered Republicans, they hated being called Republicans. In fact, like almost everybody that you talk to in Utah that was a registered Republican, they're like, I'm a libertarian. And so like it started. There's a guy named Steve that I went to high school with, and we used to talk all the time. And he would say, I'm not a Republican, I'm MAGA. So that's where I started saying it. But I think it's probably just to be rude. Probably.
Yeah. I mean, look, hey, I respect it. You know, I respect the honesty about it for sure. I mean, and look, and I'll just give you a little background on me before we really get into it. I don't consider myself MAGA. I don't consider myself a Republican. I'm a conservative by far. But I don't like the grouping of anybody, right? We're all individuals. We're all fucking Americans at the end of the day. And like, hey, you may have some different ideology than me, and you may think a little bit different because we all come from a different background and have different perspectives on life, or raised differently, and all of those things. But again, you know, I do this shit because we're all Americans. We've all got to live here. We've all got to find some way to find some middle ground on shit and give a little bit on each side, even though, hey, I would want it all my way, but you want it all yours. But we got to find some way to compromise and make this shit work for everybody. You know, at the end of the day, the most honest people in these conversations that have a little bit of intelligence, because, hey, we have some idiots on both sides of the fence. But the most honest people I talk to, we don't really think that much differently than each other. We want the same things out of life. We want the same things from Americans. We just have a different way of trying to achieve those goals, right? I mean, we all want a safe neighborhood to raise our kids in, make sure that they got, you know, a successful life ahead of them, whatever that means to each individual. But your view to get it there may be different than my view to get it there. And that's the way I look at it. I don't try to put anybody in a box.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, like, I was a conservative my whole life up until Trump came around, and that had more to do with, religious deconstructing at the time too. But I actually agree with literally everything you just said. So when I stopped being a Republican, I went and I was a libertarian because I'm like, here's the things that I value, and for me, it was like I want free trade. I didn't want a bunch of at the time I was like, I want to pay as little of taxes as I want, and I don't think the government should be involved in anything. And so that was my position, and I started discussing my position, and eventually I found like, oh, that you can't really hold libertarianism as a position because it means like the abolishment of government. I don't want to abolish government. I think the government serves some good functions like fire, police department, roads. And then eventually I kept losing arguments, and that's why I'm at where I'm at now. So I agree with you. I think that we should discuss issues. I think that I think maybe we shoulder even more of the blame. I think what happened with Trump is that the people that weren't in the party hated him. The people that were in the party thought he was annoying, and then they thought he was going to be successful in implementing their agenda. And so we chose a very polarizing person, and then we allow ourselves to get polarized. But I agree with you. I think we've abandoned the type of discussion that's like, okay, what actually makes sense? Like, not what are my policy ideas from an ideological standpoint, but like what mathematically makes sense.
Yeah, man. And again, I'll say this, you know, when you don't put people in the box, I find more times than not we agree on a lot of shit, like everything you just kind of said. You know, it's going to make for a kind of lame debate if we keep agreeing on shit, but that is what it is. It's okay. Because like I said, I do this to kind of reach people, you know, and that's why I was kind of invited up here by Amir. You know, like you said, the fire department, police department, all those things, I think those are great social programs that obviously we need in this country. You know, and there's probably some other.
What if we said like Social Security? How do you feel about Social Security?
I think it's a scam. That part, okay. You know, if we want to go there.
Yeah, I'd love to hear. Like, why do you think it's a scam?
Because you know, if you look at just any statistical data of if someone would take the same money that they're paying into Social Security and put that in even something as simple as a 401k. They would make way more money for their retirement. But if you talk about even better retirement engines, such as an IRA, IUL, even the stock market, has seen more gains in your money. Yeah, there's obviously some risk involved as opposed to Social Security is not. But then again, with the way our government controls that and has borrowed against it, and certain people are not going to see that, well, I guess what? You're risking your money doing that too. So I don't believe that our government always has our best interest in hand. I think at one point in time, they probably did when this started. Because, we know the retirement issues that happened in the past, and, people didn't have any kind of social net when it comes to that. But what it's became today, and like I said, that we know that Social Security is going broke, and, some of us may not even see that money at all. There's that possibility, right? That like, it's terrible. And I preface that, I said it's a scam. I don't think it's a complete scam, but like, I just think there's so many more engines out there that we could use, even if we regulated businesses to say, hey, you have to set up 401ks, or you have to set up IRAs for people, or an IUL or something like that, that can really make money on their money instead of just storing their money and the government using it to make money and use it however they see fit. I just don't like that, in my opinion.
Sure. I guess one of the things that the conclusion I've come to with conservatism, and the reason that I ultimately moved away from, or I guess not conservatism, but what Republicans have done in my lifetime policy-wise, is that they do this thing where they start complaining about something that's working, and they just point out the flaws in it. And then when they point out the flaws, then they try and defund it and privatize it. And if you look at Social Security and you talk about like stealing from Social Security and refusing to raise the cap and refusing to keep Social Security on pace with inflation, it's always the Republicans that are standing in the way there. So to me, a lot of this stuff, I think this happens with education. I think it happens with Social Security. They don't want something. They want to privatize it so that people can make money off of it. And then they break it. And then they say, look at this. It doesn't work. We better privatize it. Where if we would have just actually worked together, like Social Security, first of all, it's not going under. You're talking about the fund. What do you call it? The investment fund. I forget what it's called. Anyways, like that might not make it. That might be solvent in 2035. But then people are still going to get 80% of their benefits. So people will still get benefits. But every time we try and do simple things like raise the cap, or change even make the retirement age lower and have rich people pay a little bit more into Social Security, it's always, no, we can't do that. So we underfund it, and then we claim that it's broken.
Now you've actually said something interesting. And I'm okay with prefacing there, and we can go there as well. The rich people part of it, I never will give that argument for anybody on any side about it's always the rich person's fault. So if you want to dive into that, let's dive into that, because I think that's where we may differ a little bit.
No, I think it's the government's fault, not the rich person. I think it's the government's fault for having programs that they don't fund. And the only way to fund the program properly is through tax revenue. So if you're not going to decrease funding from somewhere else to fund Social Security, or if you're not going to keep a program afloat because you don't have the money, then you've got to tax people. I wish everybody paid 1% taxes and we had all the things that we needed. I think all I'm pointing out is that there are ways that you could tax people who are wealthy, because there's a cap on Social Security. Like once you hit, I don't remember what the number is. I want to say it's 175,000 or something like that. You stop paying Social Security taxes.
Yeah. Well, you don't stop. You don't pay any money on any money above that.
Yeah, above that. Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but I don't think you even touched on the part of there's better engines out there. I mean, I get you kind of said that, Republicans always want to privatize it. I do get that part of it for sure. Like I brought up, there are better engines out there that can actually make people money, as opposed to, hey, let's give them 80% of their money. I would much rather something that, like I said, these private engines that can actually make people profits on their money, and they can live a nice retirement with more money than they actually put into something. Does that make kind of sense than rather using the government to just get a percentage of your money?
Well, look, you mentioned 401k. Like 401ks and Social Security, they're kind of rising at the same rate. I mean, it's not like you're getting massive returns on 401ks. You're getting between 4 and 8%, and Social Security is rising at about 4 to 8% too. So it's somewhere in those ranges. So it's really not that different. But
Yeah,
the
but
one
money doesn't
thing,
compound in Social Security as it does in a 401k.
then how does the value go up?
Again, it just doesn't. It goes up by the percentage, like you said, but it doesn't compound.
That's
You know what that means?
Yeah, because we keep removing those mechanisms. The way to make it compound is that you adjust what people are paying in to keep up with inflation, but we don't adjust that.
No,
And
that's
so
not how you compound.
well, in this case, it is because you're talking about compounding.
No,
Like,
but see, you don't have to do that in those other engines, is what I'm saying.
yes, you do.
You don't have to do any. No, you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. No, people have
No,
to.
you don't.
No, people have to keep buying stocks for stocks
No, you
to go
don't.
up. Revenues
No,
have
you
to
don't.
go. So if
No, you
people,
don't. You don't. So
if
you don't
revenue-
understand what
so if
compounding
revenue,
is.
wait, hold on. So if revenue goes down with a company, does the
Mm-hmm.
stock price go up or down usually?
It goes down.
Okay, so
I understand that.
So you, okay, so
Not all things will you lose money though. I get a 401k specifically if you want to specifically talk about that, but I also talked about two other things that don't do that.
right, but Social Security can't go down if you adjust it
I
for
do
inflation.
understand that. I did say there are certain of these things that have a certain risk to them. Yes, I get that.
But Social
But
Security
you also
doesn't.
but you don't compound your money at all in Social Security.
You do effectively as
You
long as
don't.
you're. Hold on.
You don't in any
Listen,
way. If you're saying you
hey,
do,
could I explain what I mean by that?
Listen, but listen, if
You're not letting me explain what I mean by it.
And okay, go ahead, explain.
Okay. So if you are raising, so we agree wages go up, right? And that means that inflation goes up. We try and keep our inflation between 2 to 3% annually in this country. That's how we want our economy to operate. If you don't raise, like if wages are going up, but you don't move the cap up, then you're not bringing in revenue that you could use to compound it, right? If you don't have
But
a
it
cap
doesn't
that is,
compound.
if you don't,
doesn't
but wait, hold on, but it does because
doesn't.
every year
Does it?
people. Yes,
You
it does,
don't know what compounding
I'm-
is if you're
if
saying it does.
I'm
bud.
trying to explain it to you. Every
Okay,
year,
so touch on the compounding.
I'm
Let's get away
I'm
from
trying
that.
to get there. I'm almost there.
Okay.
Every year, it's because you have 2 to 3% inflation, and if wages are moving at 2 to 3% inflation, that means every year the next group of people who put in money for Social Security, every year you're going to pay an additional 2 to 3%. So the money doesn't compound because it's being invested. It compounds because every year people are paying more and more and more. So it doesn't compound in the same way,
Okay.
but effectively it does the same thing.
That's not compounding, and you're not understanding.
What's the
Compounding.
difference between compounding and what I
Okay.
said?
Compounding means the interest you are making that is making you money. Now, the next time that interest hits has compounded by the new principal. It has nothing to do with you paying more. You don't pay more. The money you have made actually makes you even more money the next time that hits. That's compounding.
Because of inflation.
Because
right?
you've made a profit. No, nothing
Yes.
to do with inflation. No, it has nothing to do with inflation. It has
has to.
nothing. No, it doesn't.
Brother,
no,
that's
it
why.
doesn't.
Brother, that's why the
Because
stock.
that's why you don't understand what compounding
brother,
is.
that's why the stock market goes up. every year.
No, sir, you're
You're not
wrong.
letting me
That
finish
is
any
not-
sentences.
But you're not letting me finish either. You cut me off when I'm trying to
hold
explain
on
to
a
you
second.
compounding.
One at a time.
So again, you don't understand what compounding is. Compounding has nothing to do with you, the consumer. Even in the case of Social Security, let's call the people the consumer as well. You're not paying anything more because of anything. The money you're making off of the interest then adds to your principal. Then the next time you get an interest payment, and I'm gonna give you a simple example, okay? If you put in $100, and let's say you're getting 10% interest, you now got $110. The next time that hits, you're going to have $11.
Yep.
Because the money has compounded, not because you paid more into it due to inflation. The money you made you more money. You get that? That's compounding. It has nothing to do with what you're paying, has nothing to do with inflation.
So what I said is that effectively it is the same thing.
It's
I
not
didn't.
because you're
Listen,
costing more money.
please, brother. I let you go the whole time. I let you go that whole time.
Okay, tell me how
I'm
it
trying,
doesn't
brother.
affect you. Okay, listen clearly to the question
No,
because you're
no,
not
no,
understanding.
it's my turn.
Hold
I'm
on,
responding to what you
Clark.
said,
Hold on,
Clark.
wait. Clark, you gotta let him finish. He lets you finish. Fair is fair. Let him finish, then you rebound.
Sure, go ahead.
Again, you're saying that compound interest on investments is not the same.
not.
If you,
Right.
Jesus Christ, Clark, get it together.
I said it right. You can't handle a small comment, bro. Come on.
So what I said is that if you raise the rate, if the rate fluctuates that keeps up with interest in the amount that you're paying Social Security, then effectively you're getting the same result as compound interest. And let me give you an example. Let's say somebody is 65 years old, and that person has paid into Social Security their entire life. And Social Security looks at their highest earning 30 years, and then they pay that person an average from their highest earning 30 years, and it's adjusted for inflation. So, but it hasn't kept up with inflation. They're not adjusting it to keep up with inflation. So if the amount coming in kept up with inflation, let's call it 2 to 3% annually, somewhere around there, then the person who's 65 and is no longer putting money into Social Security, the amount they get every year will increase. They will continue to get money even after they've stopped putting money into the market. They're no longer paying out.
So who pays it?
The people that are putting in, just like in the stock market. When you cash out of the stock market, it's because somebody bought that stock.
Okay. All right, can I rebut now?
Sure.
Okay. So again, the difference is no one is putting in more money to my scenario. Us as the consumer in the Social Security, in the example you just gave, somebody, even if it's not that person receiving the benefit, somebody along the way, due to the inflation, is paying more money into that system in order for that to happen. In my
the stock market.
No, sir.
Somebody else is paying into the stock market.
No, sir.
Nobody's paying into the stock market
now. Okay, go ahead. You want to talk? Go ahead.
I do. I have a question about that because
go ahead.
you're saying that like you don't put in any more money, and then you're saying on this other end with the government, somebody else is putting in more money. Your stock your stock price doesn't go up if people aren't putting in more money and increasing the value of the stock. Right. You're not, but somebody else is.
No, that's not how it works.
That's how it works.
That's not how it works.
That's how it works.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. You still don't understand what compounding is.
We're not talking about compounding right now.
That's
we're talking
the exact
about stock
fucking
prices.
question I asked, bud. Like that's
exactly
exactly.
Hold on.
I didn't say anything. You brought up stock prices. I never once said stock prices.
Brother,
Never once.
that's how your money goes up.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Excuse me.
I never
Does your
said
money?
anything about
Excuse
stock
me. If you have
prices.
investments,
Never once.
if you invest
Never once.
$100 and the stock of what you invested in goes down,
I didn't say anything about stock, bud. Again,
that's what an investment is. What are we talking about?
No, it's not always an investment. No, there are many other.
401k?
There are many other things that back securities. Okay, many other things, not just the stock market. Not just the stock market. And again, if you don't understand
we're
these
talking
things,
about 401ks,
hold on, again, okay, you want to talk? Go ahead.
Yes. What makes up a 401k?
Some of them are backed by real estate. Some of them are backed by stocks.
A real estate backed 401k?
Yes, sir. Did you not know that?
No.
Okay. So like I said, you don't understand how this works. And
can you tell me where it is?
I'm trying to, but every time I fucking talk, you cut me off.
Well, I don't think this exists.
Okay. Well, go look it up. Tell me I'm wrong.
I did, and it says it doesn't exist. That's why I'm asking.
Doesn't exist. There are not securities that are backed by real estate. That's what you're saying.
We're talking about stocks.
You're talking about stocks. Again, I have never once said stocks in my example, not one time, bro.
You're talking about you're talking about like mortgage-backed securities?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Okay. And then there are also engines. Hold on. There are also engines like IULs. Do you know what an IUL is?
No.
Okay. An IUL is invested in the stock market. However, there is a zero downturn to an IUL. The stocks go down, you lose nothing. Zero. Go look up what an IUL is.
Is that the life insurance thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't remember how.
Investment. It's one of the best investments you can ever make in your lifetime.
Well, then how are they getting a return on the investment? How does that work?
Because every time the stock market goes up, you get those gains. Now it's capped at a certain point, so you don't get all of those gains. Okay. But when it drops, you also zero out. So there's low risk on those type of investments. But it's a great engine because of that fact, because you can't lose money in this. Now there are some fees.
Unless you try and cash out early, right?
Well, yeah,
you
of course.
You have to invest for like 10 years or something.
Yeah. No, it's about 3 or 4, and it's a really, really good payout for those. But yeah, I mean, the longer you do it and invest into it, obviously the more money you make, but your money's also compounding on top of that because of the interest if you don't touch it.
Yeah, it's a
right?
little
And that
scammy for me, if we're being honest.
It's not. I mean, the biggest insurance companies in this country actually all offer these products.
I don't think that's a good argument for it not being a scam. It relies on people. It relies on people not having access to their money until they can guarantee a return. It feels like a scam.
You have access to your money after the first year. So
you just said 3 years.
No, I said a decent profit margin is within the 3-year period. Now, the longer you go, the more you can profit, the more your money can compound. However, you can access your money within a year. That would be stupid because you don't really have that many gains within a year. But it is a great engine. However, you're telling me this is a scam, but I think what you just described when it comes to Social Security is a fucking Ponzi scheme. You want to text the it sounds like a Ponzi scheme, what you just described. Because you're talking about inflation, which then makes the taxpayer pay more money for the other guy who's retired to get a better benefit because of inflation. That's a Ponzi scheme, bud.
That's not how's that a Ponzi scheme?
That's absolutely the definition.
I heard you say it was a Ponzi. How is it a Ponzi scheme?
It is. It's a definition of a Ponzi scheme.
How?
Because you're using guys that are coming into a system when they pay in to pay the money up to the person that's getting out of the system. That is the definition of a Ponzi scheme.
No, you're missing a word.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it has to be a fraudulent investment scheme. You can have investments.
It's literally a Ponzi scheme.
That's then
it's literally a Ponzi scheme.
I know you just keep saying. Listen, you can keep saying it is. There you go.
It is. Talking. You're scamming okay. So here it is. You're scamming the guy on the bottom to pay for the guy on the top because he didn't pay in as much.
What's a scam?
Just what I'm telling you.
Fraud,
just what I
right?
just said.
Fraud, right?
Yeah. And that's why
what's the element of fraud?
Did I not preface this at the beginning and say that I thought Social Security was a scam?
What's the element of fraud?
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah,
right?
What's the element of fraud
in
I didn't
Social
say fraud.
Security? I said a scam.
Okay, what's the scam with Social Security?
The scam is you are taking people at the bottom's money to pay for the people at the top. No, anybody ever heard of Bernie Madoff and seen how he made all this money?
Yeah, because it was fraudulent.
And scammed all of these people.
It was fraudulent.
I understand it was fraudulent.
Well, however, there has to be fraud in order for it to be a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is a fraud charge.
Okay, and again,
so where's the fraud?
Again, I prefaced this as I thought this was a scam.
I don't care what you think. I want to know why it's a fraud.
I just told you why. Because you're getting people at the bottom to pay for the people at the top that didn't put the
fraud.
money. How is that not fraud? It's not fraud because you think because the government's doing it. That's the only reason you think that. If this was a private company doing what you're saying, they'd be in fucking jail.
No, it's because fraud has a real definition, and you're just saying that
prove me wrong. If you would go type in your scenario into any computer, it would be considered a fraud, bud.
Fraud is
anybody else did this.
Calm down. All right.
Fraud is an intentional act of deceit. What is the intentional act of deceit?
Right.
That's by the government?
That's what Social Security is doing.
Explain me the intentional act of deceit by the federal government.
By the way you're talking about it, you want the people at the bottom to pay for the people that have retired.
What's the intentional act of deceit?
I didn't say anything about deceit.
When you pay into Social Security, do you know what you're getting back?
In your scenario, no, you don't.
Excuse me?
Right? Because inflation. We don't know what the fuck inflation is going to be.
You get a guaranteed. You're guaranteed a certain amount. You're guaranteed a certain amount.
But you're not. It's going bankrupt. You're not guaranteed thing.
It's not going bankrupt.
Okay.
That's the trust. The trust could go bankrupt. And at that point, which apparently you didn't look this up, at that point, people will still get 80.
They borrowing against
Just let me finish, and you can respond after. If the trust goes bankrupt, people will still get 80% of their benefits.
Okay, so
the trust
80%
is not all of the money.
Okay, so let's follow that. 80%, and instead I should get 100%. That's not a scam?
No, because
that's not a scam. Why don't they get 100%?
Well, and here's where
why don't they get 100%?
No, here's where I think we have some agreement.
Why don't they get 100%?
I'm going to tell you, because this is where I think we have some agreement. The reason they don't get 100% is because Republicans, post Reagan and through the first Bush administration, wanted to do exactly what you're talking about and privatize Social Security. And they couldn't get all of it. So they worked out a deal, a proof of concept, that they would take Social Security and they would also do a trust. And what they posited is that the trust would outperform Social Security. But Social Security is still solvent, and the trust has like maybe 10 years left at most. They tried it out. Your way didn't work. And now we've got to figure out what to do with that money that Republicans fucked up. So if we're saying like taking from Social Security made it fraudulent, I agree. Republicans defrauded the American people, stole from
I don't
Social
give a
Security,
fuck who
and
did it.
invested it.
Like,
in,
see, and this
invested
is
it
you
to
guys'
almost
problem on your
and then
side
they
of the fence. You
invested
always
it,
want to
and
say the
their
Republicans
investment,
did this
and
and the
their I know
Republicans
you
did
want
Hold
to
that.
on,
talk
hold
over
on,
this right
hold
now.
on,
I
hold
know
on,
you want to
hold
talk
on.
over
Wait a
this right
second.
now. They took their investment, and the investment underperformed Social Security. So I agree. The Republicans' ideas when it comes to Social Security is absolute fraud.
Okay, great job. I guess you won that one.
Well, I thought we were just talking about ideas. I thought we weren't doing winning.
Well, okay. Well, you're sitting here, Republican, 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 every fucking word out your mouth.
Yeah, they
so
committed
like,
fraud.
I thought we weren't doing that either. But okay,
No, I'm
go ahead.
definitely
Let's
gonna
continue.
I'm gonna definitely place the blame on the people when you're trying to say it's a fraud if you're taking money from it. Then yeah, what are you doing voting on that side of the aisle?
I don't have to pay it anyway, but whatever. I don't have to worry about that shit.
All right. Well, you should have said that at the beginning then.
Like, I mean, we wanted to discuss it, so like, I mean, I can discuss it and have an opinion on it.
Yeah, like it's important for me. There's people, my uncles, loved ones. I have a lot of people that are going to depend on Social Security because wages haven't kept up. They haven't been able to put away enough money to save for their retirement.
A lot of those people are like
They're
government
invested.
employees, public school teachers, and
they all invest.
the cost of living was too high for them to really set much money aside to invest.
And the public schools don't offer
They had that Social Security money.
great retirement options. The retirement options are pretty poor if you don't vest for like 30 years.
I mean, if you look at the money people pay in their lifetime, and I implore anyone to go look this up that's in this room right now and prove this point wrong. If you would have taken every dollar you have paid into Social Security and invested it in S&P, the S&P has outperformed Social Security every fucking day of the week. Please prove that wrong.
Well, the problem
Even with the risk of possibly losing your money at certain times because the market does fluctuate, there is that chance. I'm going to preface it with that. Okay, yes, there's always that chance, but even with that being the case, they have still outperformed anything else.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I agree with that. If we want to do something that makes a little more sense with Social Security, great. But we've tried the thing where we're like, let people do what they want with their money. What we know is that when we take away regulations like that, if you wouldn't mind me finishing.
Huh?
Before we had Social Security.
Okay.
And then it was so bad that we didn't basically all of our elderly
were living in abject poverty. I think when we passed Social Security, it raised like 60% of people out of poverty or some shit, like seniors out of poverty immediately overnight.
I can't dispute that. I can't dispute that. But I will ask this question to that. Do you think the people that are living off of Social Security are not in poverty?
Yeah, a lot of them are because we don't keep
All
up.
of
We
them
don't
are, but
because they're benefits. Because we could have had people paying the appropriate amount, and then we would be fine. Like if people, if contributions to Social Security kept up with inflation, then people wouldn't be living in poverty right now. They'd be getting a lot more money because we, as well as I do, since 2009, it is just, and with the exception of COVID, since 2009, it's just been a skyrocket. Like if we would have made sure that during this time of economic boom, that we didn't cap Social Security and everybody was, and it was keeping up with inflation, then the people who were getting $1,500 a month now might be getting like $3,200 a month now. But we can never tax. We're never allowed to tax people. We live under this idea that like taxation is theft. Nobody wants to give away more of their taxes. People are inherently selfish. People want to get elected, so they tell the electorate what they want to hear. They're like, no, we'll cut your taxes. They're like, everyday people are like, fuck yeah, I'm not really that worried about the future. So they cut the taxes. They don't raise Social Security taxes, and now we're at where we're at, where now we have 20% of it that might just be gone, and the other 80% is completely underfunded. And the solution we could do and fix all of this right now, if we could fix the trust, we could fix everything if we just raise the cap. But we can't do that because there's at least one party and then a handful of moderate Democrats who keep saying we will not increase taxes at all, ever, 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 ever.
Okay. I don't disagree.
These are the things that I think like we really do agree on and that we never talk about. Instead,
no,
it's always like some fringe thing.
And look, I get it, but I mean, like, I just, again, as I said, I think there's way better engines out there to use, and you could take the same amount of money and actually make money instead of getting 80% or 100, even 100% of your money, and do better and actually make a profit to be able to live your life out. And some cases, people have become multimillionaires by doing so.
Would you recommend the government manage that, or like the individuals?
Absolutely not. Individuals.
That's where I'm nervous. You know what I mean? Like, people are just dumb with their money.
I agree with that. Totally.
And so we're going to wind up with a bunch of 60.
Accountability not come into play in that?
Well, that's the thing.
Like, that's on you, bro. Like, if you don't know how to manage your money, educate yourself on doing so. Because here's the problem: when I come on panels and I start talking about things like this, or taxes, or the economy and things like that, and try to educate people, I get told that, the government's going to audit you. You're breaking the law. Blah 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 blah, and all of this stupid shit. And it's like, no, bro, you're just dumb and you don't know how the system works. And I'm not calling you that. I'm just saying in general when I have the conversations. And that's the fucking problem. People are ignorant to what they could really do with their money to make money, and they don't want to learn it because you're bad because you think this way. What the fuck are you talking about? You use the same system.
I don't think everybody thinks it's because they're bad, but the problem that
I'm telling you what I get told.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. Yeah, that's fair enough. The problem that we have here is the end result of doing it your way is that and they wouldn't have any savings. I agree with you that in a perfect world, everybody would have accountability, and maybe we can do some stuff in. I mean, I don't want to get into education, but we could. Hold on, let me finish.
That's where I was going.
Maybe we could educate people more, but the end result is going to be people.
The financial literacy. The financial literacy in this country.
Can I finish?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
The end result is that a bunch of people will be starving. So I appreciate the conversation about culture, but the whole point of Social Security is to have a safety net so we don't wind up with a disaster. And so and that's what it's for. And ideally we have a country where everybody makes a living wage and everybody has Social Security, and the people like yourself who want to learn financial literacy, those people do much better. That's the part of capitalism I like. You want to learn about financial literacy? Great. You can get a leg up. You can go ahead and you can buy that boat. You can go on vacation. And people who don't want to do it, they don't have to do it either. But at the end of their life, because they didn't care about building up a bunch of money, they won't be rich, but they won't die. And I like that system.
I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I do get it. But I think the problem, stems kind of where you were touching there a little bit. It is, I think we need to educate us as a society much better than we do. I mean, kids today don't even know how to fucking balance a checkbook. It's terrible what we're doing as far as that. They don't know about credit. They don't know how to use their credit.
Do you balance a checkbook anymore? I've never balanced a checkbook.
Well, I mean, you should know where your money's at and how to do it. Yeah, absolutely. You should know how to do it. I'm not saying that it's a everyday skill that you're going to use, but like you should know how to do it. Yes, absolutely. Because if you
it's
don't
just
know,
on my screen,
I can
just pull it up.
If you don't know how and what money you actually have as opposed to what you spent this week or that week or whatever, that can get you into some serious trouble. And all of that is about balancing the checkbook.
Oh, yeah, there's apps. There's apps for all of that now.
I get that.
I think we have to learn that.
But see, hold on. The thing about it is when you talk like that, guess what? That's why we're dumber now. Because we rely on apps and stupid shit like that instead of learning what we're actually doing. And sometimes that's how people get scammed because they don't know nothing about it. And the fucking accountant that looks at their shit or files their taxes fucks them. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, I don't think
we don't know. We can't watch our own money today.
Yeah,
we don't know how to watch our own money.
I don't think we're dumber because of that, but
absolutely. Technology
my dog just came in.
Us from the start, bro. Like, and I'm not saying technology is a bad thing, so don't get me wrong. But the more technology we get, the dumber we get as a society. Bottom line. Because when I was coming up, we actually learned how to fucking count, multiply, subtract, divide, all of those things. Now it's on a fucking phone and everybody uses a phone. And half people don't know how to do it.
I mean, test scores are going up in math, so I don't know if that's true, but...
Clark, let me ask you something. 7 times 8.
7 times 8, 56.
My man. Perfect.
Yeah. Like I said, I actually was taught shit like that, bro. Like, that's the thing. And these kids can't do it today. That's
I
the problem.
mean, they tested a higher rate than you did.
Yeah, but testing is not always equal out to intelligence and actual literacy in a
Well,
subject.
it does with math.
Testing because when it comes to things, teachers teach how to test today.
Yeah,
They
but
don't
but we're
they don't
talking about
actually
math.
Teach. Yeah,
we're talking
right.
about math.
But again, they teach people how to test today.
But that's what math is.
Okay.
There's no like other lesson.
So you're
with
saying
math.
we're smart enough? We should just leave it the way it is. The education system's fine. People know everything, right?
No, I
That's
think
what
we
you're
need to. I think we need to massively invest in education. We're getting passed up by the rest of the world because we keep trying to privatize education.
Because we're privatizing education.
Yep.
How so, bro?
Well, if you look at the two worst states in the country, where I live in Arizona and Oklahoma, which is 49th, they have seen a precipitous drop when they started pulling money from public education motive in education. But every country who's passing us up, they all have a very strong Department of Education. They fund their schools at a higher percentage of their GDP. They have a strong curriculum that is set on a federal level. This idea that like teaching kids whatever the community thinks is best means that sometimes you're going to have a really dumb community deciding what to teach the children. And if you have a dumb community full of dumb people, they don't know what to teach children.
Well,
that's why.
I get that.
No other country does that. And Republicans are asking for more of that. They want it to be more localized.
I get what you're saying, but like I got a whole nother reason why this country is so dumb is the way it is. You know, that's got neither here nor there, and you probably won't like what I got to say as far as that goes either.
I don't care.
So I think part of the problem, and when we talk about dumb people, you've got too much regulation when it comes to certain things. And what I mean by that is, I always use the example of seatbelt laws, right? If you're too fucking stupid to wear a seatbelt and go 70 miles an hour on the highway, you deserve to be unalived. That's my opinion.
Does the insurance company deserve to have to pay a payout when you fly through somebody else's windshield and you take out their wife and she dies too?
Yeah, that's what their job is.
Yeah,
that's their job.
Well, then,
I mean, that's what they're paying for, right?
Well, then
Do you
we
know
should
how
probably.
insurance companies work on when it comes to settlements?
Yeah, they wouldn't pay it out if you weren't wearing a seatbelt.
No, I'm not talking about that specific example, but I'm just saying a settlement in general.
Well, I'm talking about this specific example. Let's talk about this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the seatbelt laws.
See, now you're shifting the goalpost, but that's fine. Let's go.
Well, no, it's because we privatized.
Because that wasn't what I was talking about. Now we're talking about insurance because we were talking about the dumbest dumb people in the country.
Yeah, but you said seatbelt laws that we shouldn't have them because people should just
Absolutely,
do the right thing.
That's right.
But if we don't, okay, but those laws are meant to protect businesses and the other people on the road.
We are over-regulated because of those things. That's why.
Wait, so you think we should we should ban seatbelts?
I'm not saying
seatbelt laws.
Laws.
Seatbelt laws.
Yes,
sorry.
I absolutely do.
Okay, and that's going to benefit people how?
Because if dumb people get unalived, we won't have them breeding in our country.
Oh, so we just so the idea is to
Mark, you can't be serious, bro.
I'm absolutely.
Come on, bro.
I'm 1,000%.
I mean,
that's the problem with our country because you've put these laws in place. Okay, here's another example for you.
Wait.
Okay, hold on.
That was a good law. I like the seatbelt law. I don't think that makes us dumber.
I absolutely think it makes us dumber.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Because you're protecting stupid people. If they're too stupid to wear a seatbelt, they deserve to be unalived. Now, I'll go to another one so you can understand.
Sure.
Now, if people are so stupid to leave their child in the back seat and the child unalives, okay, now we have fucking sensors on vehicles because people are too stupid to go check for their child. That person should be in prison for the rest of their life, and we leave it at that. We shouldn't have a buzzer that beeps because you opened the back door of your vehicle.
So you should just let the kid die and remind them?
Look, the reason that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying
that's not what happened.
I understand that because of stupid people.
Yeah, but in this case, a kid dies.
So in a normal reality, who does that, bro? Who leaves their fucking kid in the back seat besides somebody that's stupid?
I don't know, but I don't think the kid deserves to die for their parents.
I'm not saying the kid deserves to die. I didn't say that.
The kid will die.
But kids have died. How about that? They actually have.
Yeah, that's why there's alerts.
And what happens to those people? Do they serve the rest of their lives in prison? Usually they don't.
I don't know. Those type of determinations
usually
are
don't.
also.
That's the point. That's
Those
the
are
point.
also-
They usually don't.
that's-
They get off on a little
brother,
slap on the wrist,
brother.
saying, "Oh, you were bad."
Brother, those
You
are
get
on a local level. I don't.
years, blah blah blah.
Clark, come on, man.
Like that's crazy to me.
Clark, please. That's done on a local level. That's done on a state
What does
level.
that have to do with anything?
Oh my God, Clark,
But then
Clark,
you have the
All right,
regulations.
hold
that
on,
come
hold on.
with it.
Hold on. I gotta do some. So I got a question: pepperoni or sausage pizza?
I'm pepperoni.
I'm pepperoni as well.
Oh, look at that! You two agree on something.
Well,
All right.
we got a few agreements here. I mean, we've been pretty good on that. I mean, not everything, obviously. I mean, it's not going to be, but you know. So in this whole scenario, so what do you think's making us dumber besides local areas picking out the curriculum?
I actually think that's what's doing it. Honestly, that is so sensitive and so terrified to learn that maybe some of their ancestors weren't great, that we don't teach things. We're like, we got schools trying to bring the Bible in. The Bible, like that whole book is like provably not true. and we're trying to teach it. They're counting it as
That's
history.
a weird take. Yeah, it is history, but okay.
I mean, there was never a worldwide flood where two people made it through and then repopulated the earth. Do you know how long it would take for those two people to repopulate the earth? They couldn't. I give you. They couldn't have done it in
We
this
had
amount
to
of
start
time.
somewhere, bro. Like,
Yeah,
what do you
but
think?
unfortunately,
I mean, it's like the chicken or the egg conversation. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
we had
but
to
in
start
this-
somewhere, and that happened.
yeah, but it didn't happen. That's the thing.
How so?
There was no worldwide flood.
Okay. Well,
We have when there's a flood, there's evidence. But either way, like
are you saying Jesus did not walk the earth?
there is no evidence that some person named Jesus who was a god walked the earth. No.
Wow, that's weird. That's a wild take. How about Moses?
This is hold on. This is where I come in.
No?
Wait, hold on.
No.
This is where I come in.
That's
Hold on,
wild.
time out. Well, we need to get away from this. Clark, you and I, when we first met, we were talking about the 14th Amendment and the whole citizenship.
Yeah.
I love
I love this topic.
I know you do, but I know he's pretty good at it too. So go ahead, you take off. What's your contention on that?
Mine or
I didn't.
mine or
I didn't hear the
Yes.
question, so you go.
is the topic basically. I think we're doing a fantastic job for the most part. There are some issues. Don't get me wrong. The guy with the tattoos is definitely an issue. If it comes back that all of that's not actually real. I love the EOs that Trump has put forth as far as birthright citizenship and those things. It comes back that all of that's not actually real. I love kind of go from there.
Which part of it do you suspect will have an effect on your life?
Oh, a lot of it.
Sure.
The deportation, for sure.
How's that going to affect your life?
Because I work in a construction field.
So is it going to make it better or worse?
It's going to make it better
How?
because wages are going to go up.
Interesting. So are you saying wages will go up because work will be you'll be more in demand because there's not enough workers?
Correct.
Okay. So it'll also projects will get done more slowly. So that'll slow economic growth from.
Nope.
Excuse me.
That's not how that works.
How does it work? If there's less people to build houses, won't houses be built more slowly?
Nope. People will actually be more productive in those situations
How do you quantify that?
because you have a less labor pool. They have to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have to be, but like physically, can they be?
Yes.
How?
1,000%.
So you're giving it 50% right now in construction?
What you mean?
Well,
No, not everybody. of
What
course.
percent
I'm
are
not
you?
saying
Because clearly you
everybody,
can
no.
give more, right?
Okay.
You
Yeah.
give a
No,
lot more.
I get what you're saying, but no,
What,
not everybody.
what percent of your
giving
time are you
50%.
currently putting in?
Not myself personally.
Yeah, more.
Not me. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Who can give more?
However, there are many times I walk on fucking job sites and people are sitting all over the place, wasting time. I hear stories from friends that they hired this guy and he's not fucking getting nothing done. Blah 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 blah.
And are all those people? That's just immigrants, though. That's not any American citizens that are
it's
being
more,
lazy.
No, it's more Americans that are being lazy than the immigrants.
Okay, so keep the lazy workers and get rid of the harder workers, and that will naturally increase productivity.
They have to be then, because now I have a slimmer pool.
What if they can't?
They have to be. There's no can't.
What do you mean they have to be? That doesn't make sense, Clark.
They have to be. You have, because then your hiring practices get better. You hire better people in those kind of situations.
Are you going to pay more?
Sure, because wages will go up. Absolutely.
Why? So wages will go up. You'll pay more, and somehow losing, let's say it's 30% of your workforce. Somehow you guys will actually build more houses.
I don't understand your argument. You're arguing for the slave labor? Is that
no? I'm trying to figure. I haven't
understand that.
You probably don't understand my argument because I haven't made one yet. I'm asking you.
Okay, that's why I'm asking you. I want to see where you're at with this. So go ahead, please.
With what?
Like, you're arguing for slave labor right now, in my opinion.
No, I'm not. I'm asking. No, I'm asking you.
No, I've done answered a couple for you. So you answer that one for me. Explain that.
Answer what?
You want the slave labor with the low wages?
I'm not advocating for slave labor.
Okay, so explain what you want.
In this scenario?
Sure.
Yeah, amnesty.
Wow. So you're okay with everybody just skipping the line?
Yeah, they're already here.
Okay, but they're not legally here.
I don't give a single solitary fuck. Give them amnesty.
So you're okay with them skipping the line of the people that are waiting, wherever the case may be?
Yes.
That these people have skipped. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Wow, that's a weird take.
Well, I just want to do what's most effective, right? I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about, like,
why is that most effective?
Because they're already here, they're already working, and if you give them amnesty, they'll also be paying taxes. And so these people will be working for a fair. Right? They will be working for a fair wage. And yeah, I know some of them get fake documentation, or they're here on a work visa so they can pay taxes. But a lot of people, I live in Arizona, I could just tell you, a significant portion of my friends who work in the construction industry pay most of their crews in cash, and they don't do documentation. So maybe it's different where you live, but where I live, that's significant. I can tell you the contractors here in Arizona are losing their shit. No, I'm arguing that if you get, no, I'm arguing
you're giving here.
Yeah,
this is great. Continue.
I will. Thank you. I'm arguing for amnesty so that they can't be paid slave wages.
Why not just deport them? Did you have
because it doesn't solve anything.
Let me ask you this. Did you have this same energy for Obama?
I was working for Mitt Romney at that time.
And that didn't answer my question.
Yeah, we criticized Obama during this time and called him the deporter in chief.
Okay.
Yeah. So I appreciate the whataboutism. That's cool. Again, it's not about deporting, right? It's not like I'm saying I'm against deporting people. I'm pro doing.
I mean, mass amnesty is actually the opposite.
Would you mind, Clark, if I were able to complete thoughts? You're having a hard time letting me get through.
I mean, you're just not making any sense, bud.
It's probably because you're not waiting till the end of the sentence and hearing the whole thing. That could be why.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we should do the most sensible thing. We need labor. There's something like, last I checked, about 8 million jobs that are unworked. Would allow them to fill some of those jobs in places where they actually follow the laws of who they can hire, right? Some people don't hire illegal labor at all. And that's why some of those jobs remain unfilled, because they don't pay enough. So I would say give people amnesty. And I think everybody should make more, but the minimum wage laws are set at a state level. I think everybody should get amnesty so they get paid the same and taxed the same. And it solves the problem. It solves the problem of people. They're no longer leeching off of the government. They're paying into the system, and nobody loses employees.
So how would mass amnesty raise wages?
I never said it would raise wages.
You just did.
No, I didn't.
You literally did a minute ago.
No, I said I would like to.
You said people would be paid more of a wage.
Oh, more, yeah, because
right.
There's
So that's raising wages.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So explain how amnesty would raise wages.
Yeah, there's a minimum wage in every state.
Who makes minimum wage?
A lot of people. But if you were paying somebody, let's say, that was here illegally, I'm trying to explain it, Clark. Just wait for 2 seconds. It's almost there. If you have somebody that you're paying,
you can't let anybody else talk. Go ahead, bro. Monologue away.
I'm just trying to answer your question, bud. If you take somebody that's like in Arizona, let's say it's $16 an hour as minimum wage, and you're paying somebody $12 an hour because they're here illegally, and you can pay them cash. If you get that person amnesty, they will immediately start making $16 an hour because you can't pay them under the state minimum. That's why I referenced every state is different. And so every state, like how much it would raise their wage would depend.
So you're still arguing that mass amnesty would raise wages?
For people who are being paid less than the state minimum or than the minimum wage, yes.
That's wild. Okay.
That's just math, dude. If you're paying somebody $12 an hour illegally and then you hire them legally and the minimum wage is $16, what are you going to be paying them?
That's wild.
How much would you be paying? No, please answer the question. Okay, so I just want to make sure we're on the same. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
What about the Americans?
I would like you to answer that question real quick.
How does that help the Americans?
I just want you to ask the question, then you can answer yours.
How does that help Americans?
I'll be happy to answer that as soon as you answer.
So how does that help Americans?
I heard you. Would you mind answering my questions first? Would you mind answering the question first or no?
How does that help Americans?
Clark, you're running, bud.
I'm not.
If you're done with the conversation, just check out.
We get it.
Would you mind answering that question, Clark?
If you can't answer it, that's cool.
All right, Clark.
Yeah, okay. How does
out and you're going to rage quit. I know.
That tells me
there it goes. Here comes the rage. There's
argument.
the rage quit. We saw it coming.
Yeah.
Go ahead and rage
course.
quit. I'm going to answer your question.
No, I don't quit, bud. I don't quit.
All right, then let me answer the question.
Yeah.
You're going to let me answer the question then?
No, please.
How does it help Americans? When you give people amnesty, they pay taxes. That's how it helps Americans. They will pay into Social Security, Medicare. They will pay into property taxes. They will pay into any locally assessed tax or federal tax. So it increases revenue that was not there. Bro, for real. Let me get the answer out. So it increases revenue.
You're monologuing for 20 minutes now.
I'm answering your question, brother. Calm down.
You don't understand how a conversation works, but go ahead. Continue monologuing.
Thanks. Shut the fuck up for 12 more seconds.
Oh, what happened with cursing? I thought that was the rules. Why are you crashing out? Calm down.
All right, let's move on. Let's
Great.
get together.
So he can't have a conversation. Okay. Dude's so crashing out. He's called me names already, and now you're done cursed at me. And I thought those were the ground rules. We weren't going to do any of those things.
So let's move on.
Here. Come on, bro.
This
is a clown show.
So
this is how he's going to act.
If people
he's
are
a great
paid,
debater. Ooh.
So if
tough
people,
guy.
brother, if people get paid legally and you take out taxes from their check, that will increase tax revenue. That's how it benefits Americans. The ones that are being paid under the table, who are not using fake documentation or who do not have a work permit, are not paying taxes.
So are you saying illegals do not pay taxes?
Some don't. Some figure loopholes out, and those actually help us because they get Social Security taken out of their check, and they can never collect on it. So that actually helps float Social Security.
Okay. Are you saying they are a net fiscal benefit?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
They're a net drain, bud.
Do you have any data on that?
Absolutely, I do. I'm glad you asked. I'll pull it up for you. I'll put it on the screen.
Thank you.
Sure. Give me a second.
No problem. Hey, we have about 522 people here, and we've been here for 3 hours now. There's no way YJ's on 1.2K. I mean, come on, people, please, and also Clark as well. Thank you, Peacemaker. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm just trying to figure out how to open this damn cheese.
Just eating a slice of cheese? What do you... That's not even a slice. That's a chunk. You're just eating a chunk of cheese?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Get after it.
Awesome. We started off damn good. Look at that, 2.9. Let's get Jet. I'd say five is good.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, cheese is good, bro.
What kind of cheese we got there?
I don't know. It's Wisconsin. Yes, sir.
Okay, so just in all fairness, this is the budgethouse.gov. Okay. This is the cost of illegal immigration to the taxpayers. This study was performed in 2024. Now, I will go to a certain paragraph because I've looked at this multiple.
Real quick, who did the study? Who did it?
This is the Center for Immigration Studies.
Okay, so it was just submitted through the House. Then this isn't a House study. You're citing a pretty right wing think tank right now.
Okay, now we can't trust that gov.
No, you can trust it. No, you can pull up the numbers. I'm just saying it's not a congressional investigation. I was just correcting that part of it.
I never said it was. I said it was a gov.
So it was performed by Congress.
I didn't. I said it was a .gov site.
You're citing the data that you're citing is not from a .gov. The data that you're citing, this is what I know, but that's not the data. The data is from the Center for Immigration Studies. This is something that they've submitted to the record. This doesn't mean that it is true or untrue or verified or unverified. Just so we're clear on what this is.
So okay, cool. Wow. This is crazy. Now we can't trust .govs. Okay, cool.
But I don't think you know what you're looking at. No, you can't trust everything on a .gov. No, you can't.
Oh, all right. What would you rather? CNN?
Well, you could just pull it up from Cost of Immigration from the Center for Immigration Studies. I'm on their website. I'm using their I'm looking for their study.
Oh, okay.
The thing that happens while you're looking this up, the thing that happens a lot of times is when you look at these studies.
I'm not looking anything up, bud.
Oh, I thought you were still looking it up. My bad.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
for what? I mean, I don't have a good anything. So what the fuck I'm looking up?
The study you were
besides the .gov site on this study. So what the fuck am I going to look up?
Well, the study that was cited there.
I don't want to hear the study. So cool.
What's that?
Let's move on. Let's move on.
You weren't showing me the study, bud. You were showing me.
Right. I was showing you the source of where the study came from, but that's fine. Let's move on.
No, the study came from the center.
We can't trust the study, so let's move on.
No, you weren't.
It's so hard. Let's move on. What's so hard?
Well, what's so hard currently is that you think you were showing me a study, and you were showing me somebody else citing a study. So I thought maybe we should go to the study.
This is the study.
It's not. The study is on the Center for Immigration Studies website. What you were showing me was somebody's argument, and they were citing data from this study. This is how sources work.
This is a hearing that was entitled "The Impact of Illegal Immigration on Social Change."
Exactly, and they entered the Center for Immigration Study into the record. But what you were showing me was not the study.
This is the study, bud.
No, you were showing me them entering it into the record, bud.
Okay.
How would you determine if immigration is a net positive or a net negative? How would we do the calculus?
By the numbers.
What numbers would we look at?
The numbers that are in the study.
I know, but what type of numbers would those be? Like, where would we go to find numbers?
What do you mean? I don't get the question.
Well, you're saying if we're talking about economically, are they a net positive, right?
Correct.
So what we would be looking at is where immigrants make money, where they have an impact on money in, and where they have an impact on money out, right?
Yeah. You didn't want to see it. Yeah, that's what I was showing you. I was going to show you. That's fine. You don't want to see it. I understand.
Brother, this is...
Like, I don't understand. Like I don't know what you're talking about. I was literally showing, that's what I was pulling up. The money in, the money out. What are you talking about?
I don't know what to do here. You didn't know what you were looking at, bud. I don't know what to tell you.
I absolutely know what I'm looking at.
Okay, pull it back up and show me the numbers then.
You don't want to see them because it's,
I just thought you should go to the website where they did the study, but it's fine. You can use that as a source if you'd like.
No, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
What is the net negative that you were able to pull up?
$68,000 per person.
Okay.
Negative.
Okay. And how many people are they saying that they are in this country illegally?
Like as a total?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be on a census, but I don't think it states that in this particular portion.
How'd they get to the number 68,000?
It's per person cited.
How did they get to that number?
I'm sure they did the census, but I don't see the numbers.
You're doing it. You're doing the confirmation bias. You don't like that you can't answer a question.
What
So you
question?
just keep saying, where did they get the number from?
Again, I'm sure it was from a census. I've said that multiple times.
How would you get how would you get
So
census
hold on, Jay. Let me
information?
ask
Is that not how we get the number of people?
No, hold on, Clark.
No, the number
What are
68,000.
you talking about?
The number 68,000. How did they get to that number?
All right,
Because
hold
they
on,
took
Clark.
in
Hold
what
on. Wait a minute.
came out. Like I just said that.
Wait. Just real quick. Do me a favor. Pull that up again, Clark.
No, I'm not pulling it up. It's not a
No,
good, it's not a good source.
No.
So
Just don't worry
What's
about
the
him for
point?
right now. No, don't worry about him for right now. Don't
Amir,
worry
I'm
about
not
him.
doing it, bro. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing
Okay.
it.
So what was the name of that study? Just tell me who the name.
Literally just said that. So
I was reading.
the name of the study is The Cost of Illegal Immigration to Taxpayers. It's a hearing that was entitled The Impact of Illegal Immigration on Social Services. That's the study. But it's not a good source, so let's move on. Like I said 5 minutes ago. Okay. This is wild.
So, Admiral, if you want to see the source, you're going to want to go to cis.org, or you can just
that's
search.
where I was getting at. That's where I was getting at because I didn't know
I've
if you
got the
brought that
study
one
up.
up or the other one.
I've got the study up. I'm
Then
looking.
pull it up. Can't believe I'm trying to eat.
I mean, I can send it to Jen. You can put it on your screen. My phone's sitting on a tripod.
Dude, I don't even know how to put shit up. So Jen,
All right.
do what you do, please.
I mean, if you just look at like the methodology here, they take so many leaps. They say to begin, everyone, regardless of legal status, pays sales tax and user fees. I don't know what a user fee is, and they don't determine what a user fee is. So I have no idea what they're pulling for user fees. Not everybody pays sales tax because some states don't have sales tax, so that doesn't make sense. So they're taking the total number, and already they're saying every one of these people pays sales tax, which can't be true. And they're assessing something called user fees, which they don't define. Then they say those who rent their residence probably pay some property taxes indirectly. So now they're taking every single person and they're saying, here's an amount that we assume they're all paying, like the amount that's going into property taxes. And then they say some have valid social security numbers and work authorization permits, while others have stolen and otherwise forged documents they provide to employers. They don't cite how many. They say a reasonable estimate says 55% of illegal immigrants are paid on the books. So they make an estimate that illegal immigrants paid $5.9 billion in federal income tax, $16.2 billion in Social Security, and $3.8 billion in Medicare taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's $80,000 or $68,000 that we are paying into it, the numbers that I was told that it's somewhere around 10 million. So you mean to tell me that we're paying trillions? Because now we're not talking billions, we're talking trillions now.
I don't know. I mean, their methodology here is incredibly unclear. They're not citing any real statistics. Like they're just guessing on all of this. It's not. If we're being honest, I don't think you could call this a study. In fact, it's not a study. It's just an article written by Stephen Camarota for the Center for Immigration Studies. So not only did your first source not have a study, it was citing an article that isn't a study.
Whoa, hold on. Say that name again.
Stephen Camarota.
Miller, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. And they're not, Stephen Miller's not like a white nationalist or anything that wants an ethno state.
So yeah, I stand on it. Now that was a bad source, Clark. We can move on if you'd like. That's a terrible source.
So I would now I'm interested, Clark. So for 68,000, do we know of how much illegal immigrants pay into? Is there a study for that?
Into what?
Well, how much are they paying, let's say, into our taxes?
Again, there's no way to determine that on a full scale.
Okay,
It can only be an estimate.
Okay, but how do they determine?
Like I said, it can only be an estimate as stated.
Okay, but how do they then determine the 68,000? You don't think that could also be an estimate?
Yeah, it is. I didn't say it wasn't.
Okay, so if it's an estimate, then we don't know the actual number, correct? I mean, if it's an estimate.
I mean, I would think that it's probably pretty close.
I mean, with all the respect, they're pretty close and
and
all that.
You know, and it's an intelligent guess for the most part. Yeah.
I think we're.
I don't know if Rolo is here. Rolo, are you here?
I think saying that's an intelligent guess isn't backed up, or guess isn't really backed up by anything he wrote in this article. There doesn't seem to be any methodology at all for this article. Not maybe he has some data he's not sharing here, but if he does have some solid data that he's making his guesses on, he's not providing it.
Hey, Rolo, if you're here, would you do me a favor? Just a couple of minutes, if you can come up, because I'm sure you would know the numbers, and I'm very interested.
I mean, you can go to a different place. Like the reality is, we don't. Clark's right. We don't really know what the net positive is, or like on a dollar number. We're not going to know that.
So let me ask this real quick. Do you have any study that shows me it is a net positive?
No, I just said there's no way of knowing what that number is.
So you can't prove your side of this claim, and I guess I can't either.
Well, I didn't make that claim.
You did earlier. That's why I brought this up.
No, you said, do you think...
You said they were a net positive.
Yeah, you asked me if I
specifically asked that question, and you said yes, they were.
Yeah, but what you asked is, do I think...
Yeah, but what?
Jesus Christ, Clark.
I mean, is that not what you claimed, bud?
No, it's not. Because what you said is...
Did I not ask that specific question, and you answered yes?
Let me know when I'm allowed to finish an answer, Clark.
Okay, did I not ask you that question, and you answered absolutely, empirically, yes?
The question was, are they a net positive?
Are they a net positive?
Yeah, my answer was yes.
There you go. So please bring up some sort of source proving your claim.
Great. So when you asked me, are they a net positive, you didn't say, are they a net positive, like, do we spend more than we take in? I think that's immigration
what a net positive actually is.
Yeah, in math, but a net positive can also be in culture, in their impact to local economies.
We were literally discussing how they affected the economy.
That was after. That's when you decided.
We were literally talking about that. We were literally talking about how they affect the economy.
This is recorded,
Clark. That's the whole conversation. Right, it was. Please bring it up. Please bring up the recording, because that's literally...
I can't bring it up till we're done, Clark.
I get we can't till we're done, but I want you...
Sure.
So, Clark... No,
I'd like a source because I want to hear his claim.
I'm not making that claim, Clark.
Well, I can tell you how they are.
You did all of this work to prove that my source was wrong, and now you're switching your claim. Cool.
I didn't make that claim.
You did.
No, you thought I made that claim.
Asked it, and
You asked a vague question.
You misunderstood the question.
If
and
you
that
really
was my
want,
fault.
if you really
Exactly.
want me to rewind it back, I can.
No,
All right.
hold on. Yeah,
Go ahead
no,
and
no.
find
I
it,
just
Ben.
want to.
Wait, hold on. We just agreed. Hold on, real quick, Clark. We just agreed. You just said I didn't understand your question. That's correct. I did not. When you asked me just blanketly, are they a net positive? I responded to a very generic question that I think they're a net positive.
Wow. I can tell you how they are net positive.
We just said the same thing. We don't have to
and-
argue
and-
about
and-
this.
In the terms where we're arguing about how the fiscal part of that works. We were literally talking about that, and you decided, so you're not comprehending the conversation? Cool.
No, I've said multiple times that there's no way to get these exact numbers. So if I'm saying there's no
You
way to
said
get
that
these,
to dispute my source, but you've never said that prior to that.
I wasn't asked a question about it prior to that.
Right, because you didn't understand the question because
I'm
you're
not interested in
following along the
debating
conversation.
semantics for the rest of the night with you. I'm really not.
Okay,
You can go
hold
back
on,
and
hold
watch
on,
it.
hold on.
This is wild.
And if I'm
Jen, are you
wrong,
there?
I'll be
Like,
happy
this
to
is totally
apologize if
wild.
I'm wrong.
Hold on, Jen, are you
We
there?
got to get to somebody that's
You're
going to debate.
okay.
No, no, no,
So
hold on,
admit you're
Clark.
wrong,
Hold on, Clark.
and it's cool. Let's move
Hold on,
on.
hold on. We'll
I don't think I
settle
was
this
wrong.
because I can. Hold on, because I can tell
course
you
you
how
don't.
they are a net positive. Jen, are you there? Is Jen there?
Here.
Hey, will you do me a favor? Fiscal year 2023, because we won't get the fiscal year 24 till I believe it's June. Can you pull it up? What the actual intake is that the immigrants paid into our federal taxes?
We don't know, Admir. That's the problem, because people who pay into our system that use a social security number, it doesn't flag them as illegal immigrants.
Right.
And it could be a multitude of things. You could have somebody that pays in and you're like, wait, that person's dead. And it could just be somebody who did the wrong social security number, or it could be somebody who's legitimately working here illegally. That's why these are all estimates. And there's estimates across the board. And the truth is, like, they tend to just, whichever think tank does the study, because it's all guessing, they tend to just side with one side or the other.
Hold on, I got Rolo here. Hold on.
I love how you just proved Doge right
Except,
now. So, cool.
yeah, Clark. Jesus Christ.
What's up, Rolo?
Hey, what's up, Amir?
How you been, man? Long time no speak.
What's up, brother? Elder. What's up, Elder?
What's up, Elder?
Oh, hey,
not an insult.
Rolo,
That's a Mormon thing. You wouldn't understand, Edmir.
Oh, my bad. Now, Rolo, got a question for you.
I'm gonna roll up for you.
Is there a way that we can figure out what the net positive, net negative is when it comes to illegal immigration?
So, and it's my understanding the best place to look for is the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO. I think in 2023 it was 12 billion in federal taxes and 12 billion in. But I haven't really researched much when it comes to like how much of a net positive it is. But it is definitely a net positive because they pay into taxes when it comes to state, federal, and local taxes, and a lot of times they can't take out, so they don't qualify for Social Security benefits. If they pay with an ITIN number, individual tax ID number, they pay at a higher rate than regular people, and they can't reap the benefits that are afforded to U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents.
Which would be Social Security and all of that stuff, correct?
Only Social Security.
Right.
Only
Social Security, unemployment,
Medicare, Medicaid.
Medicare, Medicaid, all of those things. So basically, undocumented people are funding my mom's retirement right now.
Hospitals, things like that.
So when it comes to a net drain, it is depending on the location, right? So they could be a net drain in local municipalities, schools, districts, and stuff like that, depending on the concentration of undocumented people. So a lot of places like near the border or places where there's a high concentration of undocumented people, they could be like a net drain locally. But when it comes to federal and overall, they're definitely a net positive.
Okay, so bring up some kind of study or something to prove that.
The Congressional Budget Office has pretty good studies on that. how much they pay.
Please pull one up because I've pulled mine and mine wasn't good enough. I'd like to see the data or research it myself.
Well,
Yeah, I've got it here. I've got it. So they say the CBO. Where's
Put it
the
on your
budgetary?
screen, like I did.
What's that?
Put it on your screen.
Oh, 165. It's very easy to get there, and you can go down. You can scroll down to budgetary effects.
It says that the increase in immigration boosts will boost federal revenues as well as mandatory spending and interest on the debt in the CBO's baseline projection, lowering deficits on net by $0.9 trillion, lowering deficit spending by $0.9 trillion between 2024 and 2034. They estimate that the immigration surge will add $1.2 trillion in federal revenues in that time period. The annual increase in revenue grows over time and reaches $167 billion, or 2.2% of our total revenue that we bring in 2034. It adds $3 trillion to outlays for federal mandatory programs and net spending for interest on the debt over that same period, 2024 to 2034. Economy-wide effects of the boost annual spending by growing amounts that reach $27 billion by 2034. So the CBO, again, and they're also guessing based on their best available data, they are saying it is a net increase.
And nothing there touched on any spending. Nothing.
Yes, it did. I mentioned spending like 4 times.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
So you got to realize that hey Clark, when undocumented people come, they come at their working years. Most immigrants, so a lot of them don't come here as youngins, so they don't take a lot of like the resources for schooling and everything, but they come at their prime years.
Those people don't.
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying.
I heard what you're saying, but you're telling me those people don't have children?
Listen to what I'm saying.
Listen to the question, Linda.
Holy cow. Let me finish.
Hold on, Clark. He's sensitive, Clark. Let him answer.
Bro, like, what is the deal, Amir? What is up with the fucking slurs?
I'm trying to explain something, and then you can answer a question. I mean, you can ask a question later on. It's not that hard. Right. So, most people that come here.
I'm getting muted, Amir.
Holy cow.
I'm out if I'm crying.
Hold on a second.
Can we get bottles in the chat?
I'm not going to be muted. I'm going to do this.
No, hold on.
I thought you said this was going to be fair and balanced, bro.
No, hold on. That's what I said. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
But you gotta hold on.
And I didn't get my mod to come up here like you told me I would either.
You didn't name one, so please don't do this.
We didn't talk about it because I didn't think I would need one to get me.
And you won't. And you won't. Hold on a second. Let me just give me 10 seconds.
Like
all I'm asking is,
called slurs, coach that. Now I'm getting muted. Like
you won't give me, but you gotta let me finish. The issue is if Rollo asking you a question, you can't just interrupt him. That's why you keep getting this backlash. Let him ask the question. You rebut if he's wrong.
I had a question to ask in the middle of his statement. I understand I did interrupt him, but I was asking a question to understand where he was coming from.
Okay, so what is your question?
I done fucking forgot it now because I'm getting muted over here. Like, what the fuck, bro?
Well, that's why I took care of it. Yeah, so give Rollo a chance to say what he needs to go, and then you go. Rollo, go.
I have a question.
I'm sure I'll refresh your memory.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I was talking about that. When immigrants come here, they send.
I remember the question.
Conservatives cry about this all the time, right? That there's like a military-age men coming across the border, but they're actually working-age men. So they're already past the education years, and they come here for their work. Who have children? Hold on. And they have children here, but the children that they have here are citizens, right? They're not undocumented, so they're actual citizens. Now, some of them do come with their children. Most of them would be asylum seekers who would come with their families, right? So there's a diversity of people that come in.
Get approved.
Was that your question, or are you gonna have another question? Or are you gonna pivot?
I'm sure I'll have plenty more. But
are we pivoting?
No, not pivoting. I'm just asking.
You want to talk asylum and not economics, not net benefit, or what?
Well, we were talking immigration as a whole.
No, I was talking about the net benefits of immigration.
Was immigration as a whole. So, like, I mean, that was the conversation. Now we're touching on the fiscal part of it. I understand, but we were talking
All right,
immigration.
so can you concede that when people come here, they come in their working age,
Sure,
and
yeah,
therefore
but they
they come
also
here
have
to
children.
work?
They also bring children.
Some of them do, and the children that they have here are under the 14th Amendment.
Some of them
U.S.
bring
citizens.
their children, and no, they're not under the 14th
Yes.
Amendment.
Are you saying that
Just
children that
real
are born
quick,
here are not U.S. citizens? Wow. Okay.
just real quick before you guys get going, and I'll go on mute. Clark, I don't know if this is the hill that you want to die on. He's an immigration attorney.
Okay.
Because I'm a
I
friend,
don't really
I
care.
mean,
That doesn't mean
okay,
shit to me.
okay, fair enough.
Attorneys don't know nothing. Anyways, how
I
many
was
people get
fair.
approved under asylum? About 92 to 94% get denied. I don't know what has to do with
Denied?
anything. Yes.
Actually, I was giving you more credit than that, but okay, sure. Let's go with your number.
That's, I mean, if you go to the
It's
EOIR
actually
website,
51%.
no, I wish it was 51%.
It is.
Where you get that number, bro?
Oh, I'd have to go look it up.
Look,
It's a
go
while
to the
since I seen it.
EOIR.gov. That is the
what?
immigration website, right? The immigration court website. And you can see that it's about 92 to 94% of people who claim asylum ultimately get denied.
Okay, I'm cool with that. Continue.
Right. I just don't know what it has to do with
That
anything
actually
that we were
helps.
talking about.
No, I was just asking. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, and I'm going to
Continue.
provide objective numbers, right? I'm not going to pull numbers out of my
No,
neck.
I agree. I agree. Like I was given more credit than that, but I'm good with it. Let's continue on.
I don't know
I
what
have
else
no
you want me to
argument
say.
to
I
that.
mean,
Nothing. I have no argument to that. Let's continue.
all right. But so are you conceding that it's a net positive? I mean, I guess that's my question.
No, I'm not saying no.
Right? They are an anti-immigrant think tank, and all they do is come up with like really poorly done studies, I guess if you want to call it, to prove their agenda, make that immigration is bad. And they not only oppose illegal immigration, but they also oppose legal immigration. They just want any immigration. Right? That's the stance of the CIS. You are going to fall flat, like you just did, because they're not a, you know, they're not a good source to cite.
Okay.
It would be like citing FAIR, right? FAIR is also another anti-immigrant think tank, and
I
they
don't
try
even know
to.
what fair is.
I forgot what the acronym stands for, but it's FAIR. Something immigration, something something. Yeah, there it is. CIS.
Yeah, this is why I need to learn. I need to have a class with Jen to teach me how to do this because I have the whole dozen to teach me how to do this because I have the whole thing, but I just don't know immigration.
Law Center?
Yes.
And that's not a left-leaning place?
No, sir.
Okay, that's wild. That's a wild claim.
No, sir.
Okay, that's wild. That's a wild claim.
You're just confusing the.
Okay. Anyway.
And no, Jen doesn't do free label, but I will gladly pay her because I don't know shit.
Yeah, so I guess I don't understand your contention here. You're claiming based on your feelings that undocumented immigration is not a net positive, but you're not willing to accept a credible source like the Congressional Budget Office about their projections and He was talking about, what he was reading.
It didn't say anything about the spending I referred to.
Yes, they did.
So I still have it highlighted, and I read three paragraphs, and in those paragraphs, the word spending is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'll read it again. The immigration surge adds
pause.
0.3 trillion.
Hold on before you read it. Hold on. Let's make sure we understand what spending they're talking about and not the ones that I was referring to.
What
So
ones
continue.
were you referring to?
Which ones did I say?
I have no idea.
Oh, so we don't even pay attention to a
Apparently
conversation.
not. Which ones did you say?
Schooling and hospitals. Tell me where it says spending about those.
Sure. So that would be like local spending, right?
It would be
So yeah, so if you're paying property tax or sales tax or any state tax,
Incoming money? Sure. That's incoming. Tell me about the spending.
the immigration surge, and this is, by the way, this on
the spending
takes on every state. The immigration surge adds 0.3 mandatory programs and net spending for interest on the debt. In 2030,
okay, wait, hold on. Let's clarify. That was called spending on the debt.
I mentioned.
Didn't touch it.
No,
That
I
didn't
mentioned.
touch it. That
There were
didn't touch it. So continue.
Jesus Christ! I said spending twice, bud. I mentioned
Right, it
two
didn't
things.
touch the things I said. So continue on.
Federal mandatory spending is not education.
You just said it was state and local, was it not?
Brother, I just read the fucking words.
No, but
I don't-
did you not? Okay, but before that, I'm not talking about what you read, but you just said that education and I mean, like, bro, you don't understand English, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I just said those words. I don't know. I don't think
You
you're
said
following.
spending, but you didn't touch what we're talking about.
There's still 4 more spendings for me to say.
Okay, so I'm trying to take them one at a time so we understand what we're reading.
You have
Okay,
God.
Examples of spending. What were they?
Neither
one of them touched what I'm looking for. And am I wrong?
No idea what you're saying, Clark.
Learn when.
Touch my claim.
Can you just clarify something for me then? So we're talking about the net benefit
or net deficit from
illegal immigration, which would be a total of all spending and all taxation. So now why are we boiling it down to education and hospitals
Because
all of a
if it
sudden?
does not touch those things, it does not take those things into account. That's why. Bottom line. If it doesn't, if it does not cite those things, there's nothing in there about
If it doesn't say education and hospital?
Or something referring to it as you stated. Like, what is so hard to understand?
If you pay...
Do you understand what gross and net means?
Yeah.
I absolutely do.
And
But however, if you don't touch on those things, it's not taking in those
You're
things
not
into
allowing
account.
him to read. Listen.
I want them to understand what he's reading.
Everyone understands except you. So
You
just
don't
let
seem
him read.
to. You don't seem to. So again,
Holy
tell
cow.
me the part where it says about the things I'm telling.
fire departments, police would be included in infrastructure. If discretionary funding for the broad
was
Take the
talking
L, Clark.
specifically about what doctors and nurses are being paid.
Bro, stop
figure
crashing
out
out, bro.
how-
Take the
how
L,
immigrants
Clark.
Like, is this
Psycho. This is crazy.
bro? Like,
you
Amir,
you
this
are
is
off
wild,
in the
bro.
weeds. This is
This dude is
insane.
fucking nuts, bro. Like,
Yeah.
what the
L,
fuck?
Clark. Walk away with some dignity.
Like, this is wild, bro.
If you can't tell me how immigrants are paying for doctors and nurses' salaries, then we cannot have this conversation.
Like,
Crazy shift
how
there.
did you become this dumb and retarded, bro?
Oh, there's the
Oh,
slur.
come on, man.
Yep.
There's the way
I know you're just running. Like, I get it.
How
I
am
would
I
run
running?
too if I were you.
I would too. Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. Can someone explain to me what conservatism even means anymore?
Semantics.
I-
Just
I
argue
used to
semantics
think-
and never admit you're wrong, ever.
I used to think I was conservative, and then I realized that the word was hijacked, and yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything anymore. You know what I mean, RTP.
Yeah, you want to conserve the good things, but conservatism became like conserve everything or go backwards. Like just nothing new. We're not doing new.
Like, he tries to say that he's not MAGA, that he's conservative. I'm calling bullshit.
yeah. That was a long one.
Then when you read like everything, he'd rather do a slur and pretend that he didn't do it so that he would be kicked. That's how he ran.
Yeah. He's been trying to go for a while.
Sometimes you gotta know when to take the L. I do it all the time. There's more honor in taking the L and just conceding to certain things.
Yeah, but that would imply that you must have moral and dignity, though. I'm just saying, brother.
Oh, yeah.
It's embarrassing from my side. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and eat and.
I mean, you're a closeted Democrat. Just come out already, man.
So,
Just come out.
yeah.
Just come out. It's okay. No one will judge you.
Listen, bro, I already had to come out the closet. I'm not coming out of this one yet.
Come on, man. You agree with us on everything, and you're just trying to hold. That's fine. That's okay. It's all right.
It's starting to, every day. It's harder and harder, bro. It's harder and harder.
Listen,
Like,
you'll be
fuck.
much happier. You'll be like, it's just a
You know what was crazy about when I stopped being conservative and eventually way less people called me racist. It was weird.
You know what's fucked up about that is I get called racist from MAGA. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a second. Like, hold up. That's no. It's just
I don't know. Yeah.
I also want to point out that it was fair. I was pretty racist. I know where you live, Rolo. Everybody that you're around, it's like that smile in your face and talk behind your back kind of racism. It's
Of
not
course.
so overt.
oh
Yeah. Where you pretend to be polite, right?
Yeah.
But you know what people are thinking. Yeah.
wait, Rolla, I didn't know you were that you're a Mormon or whatever. Are you?
I am.
He's
Oh,
the
wow.
best. He's what every Mormon should be. He's a great.
Yeah,
if
if more
the
Mormons
whole
would be
church
like
was
me.
full of Rolos, it'd be grown like crazy.
Wow, I honestly didn't. Wow, okay.
I know people are surprised about that, But
I mean, Well, no, I
I
mean,
guess I
now that
never.
I'm interested, is because I know you immigrated here too. But I mean, were you
Yeah,
always a Mormon, or did you just convert?
my parents got baptized in Guatemala in 1968. So yeah,
Oh wow.
before I
Okay.
was thought of, my friend.
Oh
That's
wow.
when Admir was in high school.
That's super. That's super.
Yeah,
Golly.
look at the chat. Rolo's a Mormon? Yeah, look at that.
Telling
That's.
you.
I mean, I. I'm gonna use a big word right now. I'm flabbergasted.
Listen, all of the criticism against Mormonism, you know what? Most of it is true. So, especially against the people. And look at Utah, man. I used to live in Utah, and I am so disappointed. I thought Utah was gonna not go for MAGA, but they consistently voted MAGA, especially against the people. And look at Utah, man. I used to live in Utah.
There was that guy that was running third party. I forgot what his name was the first time.
Time Trump ran. He got like 30.
They consistently voted MAGA, and it's one. I forgot. Yeah,
He was a
yeah,
conservative, but he was just like a not Trump conservative.
yeah. And now they're like so much more comfortable with MAGA. You know, like Utah. At the beginning, people were kind of fighting it, and they wouldn't admit to be MAGA. You know, they wouldn't admit to having voting for Trump, but they voted like but people weren't admitting it. Now there's like full chested, you know, pro
Wow.
Donald Trump values. People weren't admitting it. Now there's like full. I don't think we went to the same church. I think we went to different Sunday schools. You know what I mean? I don't know.
One of these days.
Full chested, you know,
Wow.
pro Donald Trump values.
I have to. Dana J is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear you and her church and all of that.
We have.
You have?
Yeah.
Where the hell was I at, man? I've been.
I don't remember whose live it was in. I remember I was fishing at the time.
Oh, you were at Liv's Live. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you were
Might
at
have
Liv's
been.
Live.
No, that was a different time I was fishing. This time was like, I don't remember whose it was. I don't think it was Liv's, but yeah, we had that conversation once.
Nice. Nice.
Like
Disappointing.
not like a hard protecting our immigrants, right?
I guess that's true. Yeah, I'm comparing it probably to other. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's definitely
you know what I mean? So I mean, this hits home, right? So I've had to do trainings, and I'm like, look, this is still private property. People still need warrants to come into this property, and as bishops or whatever, you can absolutely deny entry, you know, without a warrant. But the church is like, oh, we don't want people, you know, kind of playing along with everything. And I'm like, you know who took a good stand? The Quakers, man. The Quakers, that's how it should be done against this administration. You know, I admire the Quakers and there's zeal to like protect their beliefs and people who may not be legal from government overreach into the churches. You know? So
I love Quakers. Yeah, they're the best.
What the hell is Quakers now?
It's like, what's the Religious Society of Friends? I think is what they're.
Yeah. But they took a strong stance, like don't F with us, you know, and they actually sued state governments and stuff like that.
They really are like, they're like a true like libertarian church. It's kind of weird. Like politically, they're like what libertarians actually are. Just like, don't mess with us, we won't mess with you. Let us live our life. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. more churches need to take that stand, including the Mormon Church with all the power they wield in a lot of like the state legislatures, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming. You know what I mean? A lot of the people in state houses and senates are Mormons,
You know
but
what's
they always
really
disappoint me.
They banned fluoride. Did you see that?
Yeah.
First state. All
you know
these
what's
drug-
really weird? Like
Dude,
for
Rollo, did you see the picture when they got all that? Like, it was part of banning fluoride, but they also got like some stuff taken out of foods. And there's a picture of the two people that were that like pushed the bill, and I hadn't followed it. And one of them is my cousin, and the other one is like one of my friend's wives. They got fluoride taken out of the water. I'm like, great job, guys.
I mean, that's so high on the totem pole of like priorities, you know?
Get it done.
I mean, Utah passed a resolution to legalize marijuana.
I worked on that.
Yeah, and it passed. And the
well,
legislature
that
said nope.
explains everything.
But the legislature said nope. We don't care what the people say.
Well, they passed medicinal, and when they did medicinal, it was kind of a shitty deal. They like the church was like, we're not gonna push back on this, and so they're like, all right. And then a week before, or maybe just a couple days before the election, suddenly there were billboards everywhere, and it's like, this is a gateway drug, don't do it. They tried to like kill it last minute, and then it passed. And then when it went to the legislature, they kind of like gutted it. But one of the things that they did that was really gross is in order to get one of the licenses, they didn't do like a lottery. You had to have like certain capital requirements, and it was basically an interview process. So it was just a bunch of lobbyists that wound up getting all the dispensary licenses.
Oh yes.
You know what's really weird is for about 2 years, I was in Provo, Utah, literally every other day. I don't know what it is. There's something about it.
That's where I grew up, right there in Provo.
Provo?
Yeah.
In Happy Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah, Happy Valley right there. Especially in wintertime.
I don't
All I
miss
know
it.
is
I
that
hated the snow.
to answer Rich, like to do a lot of mental gymnastics at the Olympic level in order to justify any type of vote again for Trump, because it doesn't align with any stuff that I learned, that I Mormon, that I.
Way, but it's evil in between.
In between.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, we all make promises about giving everything. So
That's right. I broke him, Rollo. I broke my bad, dude. I broke him.
Well, it's just, God damn, man. No more, but, it is what it is. It was
I didn't realize how late it was. I got to prep the show tomorrow.
damn, it's 11. Man, why didn't you say so?
I didn't notice. I was having such a good time.
No, I appreciate it. And as usual, man. Rollo, thank you. Everybody, thank you. You guys stay safe. And
yeah, thank you all.
We'll see you next week.
Chat with you, RTP.
Rollo, you're the number one ranked border guy on TikTok. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, until he debates me on the border, and then, we know what happens then.
Yeah, we do know what will happen. We do.
What are you talking about? Him and I already debated on this.
I'll do it right now. I'll take off. I'll watch.
Okay.
See
We
ya.
can do it. I mean, Rolo, what's your contention?
What's my contention?
Yep.
We need to abolish the INA of 1952 and start over and focus it on economic need. Number one. Number two, family-based reunification. And number three, humanitarian needs, in that order.